Chapter 3187. Fairy Jinghong and the Tower Master of Azure Heaven were both high-level imperial emperors. They were powerful and killed many trial-takers in one move. However, they were soon entangled by Ying Yilong and Feng Fan. At this moment, there were more than 1,000 trial-takers gathered at the Guardian's residence. Although they were powerful, they were outnumbered. As time passed, they gradually fell into a disadvantage. This was because the trial-takers' main target was the Heaven Dao Seal. They all wanted to break the Heaven Dao Seal and snatch it. Otherwise, if they focused on Fairy Jinghong and the others, they would have been defeated long ago. Under such an intense battle, the Heaven Dao Seal grew dimmer and dimmer. The runes were crumbling as if it would break at any moment. However, the white-robed woman sitting within was still unaware. Her glabella shone brightly and intertwined with the Heaven Dao Seal, as if she was refining it. What should we do? If this continues, we won't be able to hold on. Fairy Jinghong was a little anxious and transmitted her voice to the Tower Master of Azure Heaven. There's no other way. We have to hold on. Her Majesty is refining the Heaven Dao Seal, and we can't let anyone disturb her. When the Heaven Dao Seal breaks, I'll stop them and you take Her Majesty out of here. The Tower Master of Azure Heaven said firmly. These bastards are crazy. They're willing to give up their lives for the Heaven Dao Seal. Fairy Jinghong gritted her teeth. At this moment, the Guardian's residence was like azure hell. There were probably more than 1,000 trial-takers who had died. The air was filled with the thick smell of blood. Terrifying energy rose in the surroundings. If not for Candle Dragon Imperial City's incomparable sturdiness, this level of chaos would have destroyed the entire Candle Dragon Imperial City. However, they were all crazy for the Heaven Dao Seal. At this moment, Ling Xiao had already left Burial Desert. When Ling Xiao returned to Candle Dragon Imperial City, he noticed the chaotic battle that was taking place in the Guardian's residence. He caught a trial-taker who was plundering and learned about the chaos in Candle Dragon Imperial City from him. After the Candle Dragon died, Candle Dragon Imperial City became a masterless city? They're all fighting for the Heaven Dao Seal? Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a strange look. Only now did he realize that the culprit behind the chaos in Candle Dragon Imperial City was actually him? Heavenly Dao Seal? I want to see who's so reckless as to dare snatch my things. Ling Xiao laughed coldly and headed towards the Guardian's residence. Since he was the one who killed the Candle Dragon, the Candle Dragon's Heaven Dao Seal should naturally be his. After a while, Ling Xiao saw the 9-colored altar. Ba Dao, Tong Tong, Fairy Jinghong Jade Fall, and the others have all returned safely? When Ling Xiao saw Ba Dao and the others, he felt relieved. At that time, the situation in the Burial Desert was so chaotic. He was also very worried about Ba Dao and the others. Seeing that they were safe and sound, Ling Xiao was relieved. However, when Ling Xiao saw Feng Fan and Ying Yilong, a cold light flashed in his eyes. These two fellows were actually so lucky to actually leave the Burial Desert alive. However, they were still too greedy. How dare they covet the Heavenly Dao Seal? Just as Ling Xiao was about to make a move, his gaze landed on the 9-colored altar, and he saw the white-robed figure. She's... Ling Xiao's body trembled and his eyes were filled with shock. Although the white-robed figure had a veil covering her face and her face couldn't be seen clearly, Ling Xiao still recognized her in an instant. Ji Feishuan. Ling Xiao didn't expect to meet Ji Feishuan here. The white-robed lady looked holy and noble with peerless elegance. Her entire body exuded a majestic and mysterious aura. She was like a peerless empress that no one dared to look at. At that moment, she seemed to have forgotten everything as she was completely immersed in the resonance with the Heavenly Dao Seal. The profound yellow barrier around her was already on the verge of shattering. Boom. After the King of Fists took Ba Dao's attack head-on, his unparalleled fist print landed on the yellow barrier. The yellow barrier trembled violently and instantly shattered. Just as Ling Xiao was about to make a move, he suddenly stopped and a strange look appeared in his eyes. Boom. An extremely terrifying aura gushed out from Ji Feishuan's body. Her eyes opened. It was a pair of incomparably beautiful eyes. Her gaze was clear and deep as if it contained the stars in the sky. Chaotic yin and yang flowed, causing people to unconsciously sink into it. In an instant, the world lost its color. Ji Feishuan waved her sleeve, and a vast chaotic light instantly rose. The yin and yang qi flowed like a blazing light that instantly swept out in all directions. It was extremely terrifying. The surrounding trial takers who wanted to take the opportunity to kill her all trembled violently and spat out blood. Their eyes were filled with disbelief as they flew backward at the same time. Even the King of Fists, Feng Fan, Ying Yilong, and the others trembled and took a few steps back before they could stabilize themselves. You guys, want the heavenly Dao seal? Ji Feishuan stood up, and her voice was incomparably cold. Her voice contained a majestic heavenly might that caused everyone to tremble involuntarily, and their hearts to palpitate. Wherever her gaze swept, no one dared to look at her directly. They all involuntarily lowered their heads. Peerless Emperor. The King of Fists said slowly as an extremely powerful battle intent surged in his eyes. Feng Fan, Ying Yilong, and the others also looked solemn, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. Earlier, they did not see Ji Feishuan's true cultivation level clearly. It was only when Ji Feishuan attacked that they realized that Ji Feishuan actually had the cultivation level of a peerless emperor. Moreover, the aura that Ji Feishuan emitted seemed to be able to sweep across the 9 heavens and 10 lands, and suppress billions of living beings. It was an invincible aura. Legend had it that only a great emperor could cultivate such an invincible aura. Your Majesty. Fairy Jinghong's eyes were filled with excitement as she heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. Fortunately, the Empress woke up in time. Otherwise, she would not know how to protect the Empress. Her cultivation level was still too weak. Jinghong, thank you for your hard work. Ji Feishuan glanced at Fairy Jinghong and nodded indifferently. It's my honor to protect your Majesty. However, my cultivation level is too weak. Fairy Jinghong's eyes revealed a trace of shame. Ji Feishuan raised her head, and her eyes were as clear as water. However, everyone felt an incomparably dangerous aura from her body. The Heaven Path seal had fallen into the hands of this peerless emperor. So who would dare to snatch it? Everyone was secretly nervous, afraid that Ji Feishuan would unleash her wrath, and all of them had thoughts of escaping. However, at this moment, Ji Feishuan's eyes flashed as she saw Ling Xiao in the distance. When their eyes met, Ji Feishuan's heart could not help but tremble. It's actually him? P.S. Yesterday my little Muyu was born. At that moment, I felt like my heart was about to melt. Sharing this good news with my readers, I feel that my life is complete. I will have to work harder from now on. When Muyu is not so busy, there will be a way. Thank you for your continued support. The Apex. Chapter 3188. Ling Xiao. Ji Feishuan did not expect to see Ling Xiao here. I knew that you would reach this point, that you would reach the pinnacle and conquer the path of the Eternal Emperor. You're still you, but unfortunately, I'm no longer me. Ji Feishuan looked at Ling Xiao with a complicated expression. She had a deep relationship with Ling Xiao since the God of War's boundary. She was only able to get to where she was today because of Ling Xiao's help. It could be said that Ling Xiao had left an incomparably deep imprint in her heart. Long time no see. Ling Xiao smiled at Ji Feishuan. His eyes were clear and bright. Ji Feishuan was a little dazed. The Ling Xiao in front of her seemed to have overlapped with the white-clothed young man in her memory. Long time no see. Ji Feishuan nodded at Ling Xiao. Although her heart was pounding, her face was still cold. It's Ling Xiao. Ying Yilong and Feng Fan also noticed Ling Xiao's figure. They could not help but tremble. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Ling Xiao actually made it out of the burial desert alive? Before they left the burial desert, they had heard from Zhu Qin that the Guardian would personally kill Ling Xiao. Moreover, the Burial Ant Queen's rebellion was deeply related to Ling Xiao. Now that the Candle Dragon was dead, Ling Xiao was still alive. Could it be that the Candle Dragon's death was related to Ling Xiao? Ying Yilong and Feng Fan's hearts palpitated when they thought of this. Especially when they saw that Ling Xiao knew Ji Feishuan. They were even more terrified. It was as if they were facing a great enemy. Let's go. Ying Yilong and Feng Fan looked at each other and cried out in a low voice. After which, they turned around in an extremely quick manner and teleported into the distance. Boom. At this moment, a snow-white saber ray fell from the sky. It was domineering and sharp as if it was going to split the heavens and earth in half. Ying Yilong and Feng Fan felt their scalps go numb. They forcefully stopped themselves and threw out a punch to collide with the saber ray. Boom. The space shook as the two of them were sent flying. You want to leave? Don't you think it's too late? Ba Dao descended from the sky. His face was cold and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Ba Dao, don't go too far. There are tens of thousands of trial takers here. Do you want to make everyone your enemy? Ying Yilong tried to put up a strong front as he roared. Many of the trial challengers' expressions changed as they looked at Ba Dao, with eyes full of hostility. Make everyone my enemy? Ying Yilong, I'm afraid you think too highly of yourself. Listen up, I was the one who killed the candle dragon. Other than Feng Fan and Ying Yilong, if you leave now, I can spare your lives. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Then a bright light flashed in his palm and a head appeared. That head's hair and beard were all over. It had a ferocious expression and died with its eyes wide open. It was the candle dragon's head. What? Everyone's body shook violently, and their eyes were filled with incomparable horror. Is he really the one who killed the Guardian? Lord Guardian is a peerless imperial emperor. He can actually slay a peerless imperial emperor? This Ling Xiao is the chosen one. His strength is so terrifying. How can we be his match? Let's go. We can't make this person our enemy. After the trial challengers saw the candle dragon's head, their battle intent instantly dissipated. Only deep respect was left in their eyes. Someone took the lead and shouted. Immediately, many trial challengers leaped up and dashed out of the Guardian's residence. Their speed was extremely fast, as if they were running for their lives. At that moment, how could they still care about the Heaven Path seal? They were afraid that they were not fast enough. If Ling Xiao went back on his words and wanted to kill them all, who would be Ling Xiao's match? Did he really kill the Guardian? Ying Yilong and Feng Fan's faces instantly turned pale. Their eyes were filled with despair. He's Ling Xiao? A fourth heaven imperial emperor? Can kill a peerless imperial emperor? Only this person is worthy of being my opponent. The Fist Emperor's gaze landed on Ling Xiao. His eyes were filled with eagerness as a powerful battle intent emanated from him. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He had also noticed the Fist Emperor. He felt an extremely powerful fist intent from the Fist Emperor. It was vast and pure, and it made him curious. Who is this person? Big brother, this person is the Fist Emperor. He possesses extreme fist intent, and is extremely powerful. Ba Dao explained to Ling Xiao through voice transmission. The Fist Emperor? Ling Xiao nodded. He was not bothered. This saber is yours. Ying Yilong and Feng Fan are yours. Is that okay? Ling Xiao smiled faintly at Ba Dao. Then, a light flashed in his palm, and the candle dragon saber appeared. This is the candle dragon saber? Big brother, don't worry. Their lives are mine. A cold light flashed in Ba Dao's eyes. He immediately took the candle dragon saber. Buzz. The candle dragon saber hummed, and emitted a dazzling light. Saber intent surged, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. Ying Yilong and Feng Fan had schemed against them in the burial desert. This had made Ba Dao angry for a long time. Although the culprit, Zhu Chen, was dead, Ying Yilong and Feng Fan were still alive. Ba Dao could no longer hold back. Ying Yilong and Feng Fan's expressions changed when they saw the candle dragon saber in Ba Dao's hand. Rumble! Blazing saber radiance rose from Ba Dao's body. With the candle dragon saber in his hand, Ba Dao slashed at Ying Yilong and Feng Fan. The blazing saber radiance shrouded the surrounding void. It was extremely terrifying. It was like the Milky Way hanging upside down, enveloping everyone. You're courting death. Feng Fan and Ying Yilong were shocked and furious. They did not expect Ba Dao to attack them directly. Moreover, the candle dragon saber in Ba Dao's hand made their hearts palpitate. That was the candle dragon saber, the supreme emperor weapon of the candle dragon tribe. The candle dragon had died in Ling Xiao's hands. There was no longer any doubt. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Feng Fan and Ying Yilong wanted to escape. After all, other than Ba Dao, there were still two extremely terrifying experts, Ling Xiao and Ji Feishuan. Without needing Ling Xiao to say anything, Fairy Jinghong and the other experts of the Feather Tribe surrounded them. The members of the Feather Tribe possessed extreme speed. Moreover, they were extremely talented in the Sword Dao. Every one of them was extremely fast, leaving behind afterimages in the sky. Ng Yilong and Feng Fan roared furiously. However, they were unable to break out of the encirclement, let alone leave the Guardian residence. They were caught in the middle of a huge battle. The candle dragon saber in Ba Dao's hand was dazzling. In an instant, it brought them a huge threat. Chapter 3189. Feng Fan, Ng Yilong, and the others were dead. The 8 from the Divine Arrow clan, and the 4 Dragon Kings from the Winged Dragon clan, had all died in Ba Dao's hands. Their fates were sealed the moment Ba Dao used the Forbidden Saber with the Candle Dragon Saber. The Avicii Hell Demon's Burial Saber could destroy the physical body and destroy everything. No one in the same realm could stop it. Their physical bodies were destroyed, and their primordial spirits were destroyed. Even their Dao fruits were taken out by Ba Dao. Fairy Jinghong and the experts from the Winged Dragon clan had set up an inescapable trap under Tong Tong's Eye of the Heavenly Dao. There was no way for them to escape. Big brother, I did not let you down. Ba Dao strode towards Ling Xiao. He was surrounded by a murderous aura and his blood was boiling. The murderous intent in his eyes had yet to fade. The blood-stained golden bow, golden divine arrow, and 12 dazzling Dao fruits floated in front of Ling Xiao. Although Ba Dao looked a little weak from the backlash of the Forbidden Saber, his aura had risen to its peak. His eyes were blazing and his body was emitting a radiance that no one dared to look at him directly. Very good. Thank you for your hard work. Ling Xiao nodded and said. After this battle, Ba Dao's aura had risen and his cultivation base had improved. Moreover, the knot in his heart had been untied. From then on he had improved tremendously and his future was limitless. Ling Xiao kept the golden bow and golden divine arrow. The 2 Supreme Emperor weapons buzzed and shone with a dim light, as if they were mourning the passing of their owners. The 12 Dao fruits were kept in Ling Xiao's primordial spirit consciousness. They merged and gradually formed 2 perfect Dao fruits. One was the Arrow Dao fruit, and the other was the Winged Dragon Dao fruit. Brother Ling Xiao, I'll bring my brother to treat his injuries first. Tong Tong blinked his eyes and looked at Ling Xiao and Ji Feishuan for a moment before he said with a smile. Let's go and clean up the battlefield. Fairy Jinghong and Tower Master Bai Luo nodded and said. Although they were extremely excited and wanted to pay their respects to the Empress, they could see that Ling Xiao and Ji Feishuan had a lot to talk about. Therefore they left. In the Guardian Envoy's residence, apart from a small number of people who managed to escape, most of the experts of the Illumination Dragon lineage died here. There were broken limbs everywhere, and blood and flesh were dripping everywhere. Other than the 9-colored altar in front of him, which was still pure and holy, the other areas had turned into hell. Wang. Ji Feishuan waved her sleeve and instantly, a transparent barrier spread out and enveloped Ling Xiao and her. At the same time, an ancient mirror floated up and supported the barrier, making it seem as if the barrier had evolved into layers of the void, mysterious and unfathomable. The ancient mirror was the Zhou Tian's life and death mirror that Ji Feishuan had once obtained. Ling Xiao could tell that the barrier was extremely powerful. He was also very curious about Ji Feishuan's cautiousness. All right. You can speak now. Ji Feishuan smiled at Ling Xiao. Her smile was like the melting of ice and snow, causing the world to lose its color. Even Ling Xiao was momentarily dazed. After so many years, Ji Feishuan had become even more peerless. Her temperament was extraordinary, especially her majestic aura, just like a peerless empress. What are you guarding against? Ling Xiao asked curiously. Ji Feishuan smiled faintly and did not speak. She stretched out a jade-like finger and pointed at the sky. Ling Xiao could not help but be shocked as he nodded his head. Heaven's Way? Ji Feishuan was guarding against the illusory Heaven's Way? Ling Xiao, I didn't expect to see you here. We haven't seen each other for a few hundred years since we parted ways in the divine world, right? Ji Feishuan smiled faintly. That's right. After we parted ways in the great Zhou divine nation. I haven't seen you since. Later on, I heard that you entered a forbidden area. Where have you been all these years? Ling Xiao nodded his head and asked curiously. All these years, that's a long story. Back then, I held the Zhou Tian's life and death mirror and entered the demon burial abyss. Later on, I accidentally entered the feather world and became related to the feather world. Ji Feishuan smiled faintly. Her expression was very calm as she began to talk about her experiences over the years. As it turned out, Ji Feishuan entered the feather world through the demon burial abyss and accidentally entered the feather race. In the forbidden area of the feather race, Ji Feishuan's cultivation improved greatly and awakened a certain power in her body that allowed her to control the power of life and death. The forbidden area of the feather race was where the Life Empress was worshipped. Legend had it that although the Life Empress was from the human race, she had a deep relationship with the feather race. Ji Feishuan controlled the power of life and death and obtained the inheritance of the Life Empress. Hence, the feather race thought that she was the reincarnation of the Life Empress and was respectfully addressed as the Empress. The feather world lived in seclusion and was independent from the other worlds. In order to prevent the great calamity from affecting them, they had very little interaction with the outside world. All these years, Ji Feishuan could be said to have been cultivating diligently. It wasn't until the Eternal Emperor's road opened that she entered it. You're the reincarnation of the Life Empress? Ling Zhao's body trembled as his eyes were filled with disbelief. Among the 9 emperors of the human race, the Life Empress was extremely mysterious. Legend had it that she was the only female among the 9 emperors of the human race. It was also said that the Green Lotus Empress was also a female. However, too much time had passed, and it could no longer be verified. The Life Empress controlled the Life Tao. When the human race was resisting the invasion of the other races, and even conquering the other worlds, the Life Empress had saved countless people, and was remembered by countless people. Ling Xiao did not expect the feather race to think that Ji Feishuan was the reincarnation of the Life Empress. Do you believe it? Ji Feishuan smiled faintly with a hint of loneliness in her eyes. I don't know. Ling Xiao shook his head and answered honestly. There was a feeling of mutual appreciation between him and Ji Feishuan, and they were both soulmates. It was natural for them to be extremely happy to reunite after such a long time. However, for some reason, Ling Xiao felt a strange aura from Ji Feishuan. It was unattainable and unapproachable. That's right, I don't know either. I don't know if I'm the reincarnation of the Life Empress, but I've indeed obtained the inheritance of the Life Empress. Ji Feishuan smiled faintly. However, her smile looked a little bitter and made one's heart ache. Only Ji Feishuan knew that the figure in her sea of consciousness seemed to be in a deep sleep. However, she had a feeling that it would wake up at any time. If that figure woke up, would she still be herself? Whether you're the reincarnation of the Life Empress or not, you're still you. You're Ji Feishuan, the Ji Feishuan that I've known since I was in the God of War realm. Ling Xiao looked at Ji Feishuan seriously. Seeing Ling Zhao's serious expression, Ji Feishuan was a little dazed. Unknowingly, she seemed to have relaxed and smiled at Ling Xiao. P.S. I didn't have the time to update last night at the hospital. I'll update now. There are 2 more updates tonight. Chapter 3190. Although you're trying to deceive yourself, I've decided to believe you. Ji Feishuan's smile was a little mischievous, but she seemed much more relaxed. Alright, let's not talk about me anymore. I didn't expect you to be the chosen one. You must have merged with the Candle Dragon's Heaven Path Providence, right? There's still quite a bit of Heaven Path Providence in the Heaven Path Seal. It might not be enough for you to condense the Heaven Path Pearl, but it should be soon. Ji Feishuan smiled and handed the Heaven Path Seal to Ling Xiao. You didn't refine the Heaven Path Seal? Ling Xiao asked in surprise. Of course not. Refining the Heaven Path Seal won't benefit me. I don't want to be bound by the Heaven Path. Moreover, I don't know what the Heaven Path is. Ji Feishuan said slowly. What is the Heaven Path? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he felt that Ji Feishuan was implying something. That's right. Ling Xiao, do you know what I saw in the Heaven Path Seal? Ji Feishuan said. What did you see? I just obtained the Heaven Path Seal and wanted to use the Heaven Path Providence to find out where the Heaven Path is. However, I realized that the heaven path isn't on Eternal Emperor Road. Ji Feishuan's words made Ling Zhao's body tremble. His eyes were filled with disbelief. You might ask, if the heaven path isn't on Eternal Emperor Road, where does the heaven path providence come from? Who gave you the authority to be a guardian? That's what I want to know. Ji Feishuan looked deeply at Ling Xiao and said, the heaven path isn't on Eternal Emperor Road? Maybe the heaven path is really in a deep slumber. Ling Xiao muttered to himself. His eyes flashed as he suddenly thought of the mysterious old man Heavenly Dao that he met during the Heaven Choice Convention. If the old man Heavenly Dao said that he was the incarnation of the heaven path, and the heaven path was severely damaged for some reason, then what was the heaven path providence on Eternal Emperor Road? The heaven path might not be on Eternal Emperor Road in this era, but it has been in a deep slumber since countless eras ago. Ling Xiao looked at Ji Feishuan and told her about his encounter with the old man Heavenly Dao. The incarnation of the Heavenly Dao, old man Heavenly Dao? Countless eras ago, the great Dao of heaven fell into a deep slumber due to its severe injuries. Then, who stole the authority of the great Dao of heaven? Ji Feishuan's eyes revealed a trace of contemplation. It looks like the Eternal Emperor Road isn't as simple as it seems. Although I've just entered Candle Dragon Imperial City, the fate of Heavenly Dao, the Guardian and the legendary robber are all related to Heavenly Dao. I really want to see what the culprit wants to do. Ling Xiao sneered. If someone stole the authority of the Heavenly Dao, they would become the Heavenly Dao of the Eternal Emperor Road. The mastermind had sent down the fate of the Heavenly Dao, set up the guardians of the 108 imperial cities, and even the legendary Dao robbers. There had to be a motive. Although this goal was still unknown, Ling Xiao believed that one day, the fox's tail would be revealed. You are the chosen one, and now that you have fused with the providence of the Heavenly Dao, perhaps you have long been targeted by the fake Heavenly Dao. Ji Feishuan looked at Ling Xiao worriedly. Don't worry, it's better to enter the trap. Not only am I the chosen one, but I also want to become the son of the Heavenly Dao and lure the fake Heavenly Dao out. Only then can I see its true motive. Ling Xiao sneered. He wasn't worried. Since he had been targeted, he might as well turn the world upside down. Ling Xiao believed that the fake Heavenly Dao must have been caught off guard after he killed the Candle Dragon. Or it might have already affected the fake Heavenly Dao. It seemed like the Heavenly Dao seal wasn't a good thing at all. It was ridiculous that the trial takers were still fighting for it, even at the cost of their lives. In Ling Zhao's mind, the fate of the Heavenly Dao was enshrouded in a mysterious and ancient aura. It had already fused with Ling Zhao's primordial spirit. Ling Zhao's fate of the Heavenly Dao wasn't strong enough. Legend had it that if the fate of the Heavenly Dao was strong enough and condensed into the Heavenly Dao Pearl, he would be able to obtain the protection of the Heavenly Dao and be invulnerable. Therefore, Ling Xiao really wanted to see what would happen after condensing the Heavenly Dao Pearl. You must be careful. It's simply unheard of to be able to replace the Heavenly Dao. I'm afraid that even the Supreme Emperor would find it difficult to do so. Ji Feishuan looked at Ling Xiao worriedly. Don't worry, I won't act rashly. If the fake Heavenly Dao is really so strong, I'm afraid that I'm just an ant to it. It's not enough for it to deal with me. Ling Xiao smiled indifferently. He was incomparably carefree. However, since Ji Feishuan had given the Heavenly Dao seal to Ling Xiao didn't stand on ceremony. He immediately took the Heavenly Dao seal and executed the Heavenly Dao secret skill, to devour the fate of the Heavenly Dao seal. The fate of the Heavenly Dao seal was the result of countless years of accumulation in the Candle Dragon Imperial City. At this moment, it was all given to Ling Xiao. The majestic fate of the Heavenly Dao seal entered Ling Zhao's mind and fused with his primordial spirit, causing the pressure of his indestructible primordial spirit to become more and more intense. Originally, the fate of the Heavenly Dao seal was like a dense fog. At this moment, it had turned into a purple glow, like a purple robe draped over Ling Zhao's indestructible primordial spirit. Ling Xiao had a feeling that he was like a fish in the sea, allowing him to adapt to the Eternal Emperor Road. What are you going to do with this Heavenly Dao seal? Ji Feishuan asked curiously. Although this Heavenly Dao seal doesn't look like anything good, it can't fall into the hands of unrelated people. Didn't Bai Luo want to become the guardian? I can give it to her. Ling Xiao played with the heavenly Dao seal in his hand and smiled. At this moment, there was only a wisp of fate of the heavenly Dao seal left. The rest had been devoured by Ling Xiao. It would take many years to accumulate the majestic fate of the heavenly Dao seal again. However, a wisp of fate of the heavenly Dao seal was enough for the owner to communicate with the heavenly Dao and become the guardian of the Candle Dragon Imperial City. Bai Luo? She has already entered the Eternal Emperor Road, and her Emperor Road has been severed. Becoming the guardian is a good choice for her. Ji Feishuan nodded and said. She glanced at Ling Xiao and said slowly, however, there's one more thing that you must be mentally prepared for. Now that the Candle Dragon has died in your hands, I'm afraid it'll be difficult for you to enter those imperial cities in the Eternal Emperor Road. This. Ling Xiao's face froze and he felt a little troubled. Ji Feishuan was right. This was probably the biggest disadvantage after he killed the Candle Dragon. The news of Ling Xiao killing the Candle Dragon would probably spread to all 108 imperial cities in no time. Chapter 3191. It would be strange if the imperial city's guardian envoys allowed him to enter the imperial city. Moreover, with the heavenly Dao seal in hand, Ling Xiao had nowhere to hide. It would be difficult for him to disguise himself. The Eternal Emperor's road ran through thousands of worlds. It was vast and boundless, filled with dangers, forbidden lands, and many ancient beasts. It was extremely dangerous. The 108 imperial cities were also safe places prepared for the trial takers. Although they had to pass the test in the imperial city, it was much safer than outside the imperial city. If Ling Xiao could not enter the imperial city, he could only cross the dangerous areas of the Eternal Emperor's road alone. That was where the greatest danger lay. If they really don't allow me to enter the imperial city, I can only cross the Eternal Emperor's road. This is nothing. Perhaps there will be more opportunities and rewards outside the imperial city. Ling Xiao said with a smile. You still don't know the dangers of the Eternal Emperor's road. However, if the guardian envoys don't allow you to enter the imperial city, we can just kill our way in. Ji Feishuan said faintly with a trace of murderous intent in her eyes. Looking at Ji Feishuan in front of him, although she was a little unfamiliar, Ling Xiao was still amazed. He did not expect Ji Feishuan's cultivation to be so terrifying after not seeing her for so long. The Ninth Heaven Imperial Emperor Realm, the Peerless Imperial Emperor Realm. This was an existence that had touched the Imperial Realm. In the Eternal Emperor's Road, she was already considered a prodigy among the prodigies. The Guardian Envoy's residence was cleaned up very quickly. Fairy Jinghong and the Feather Tribe went to greet Ji Feishuan while the Firmament Tower Master came to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, these are the origin beads that I promised you. They are all perfect quality. The Firmament Tower Master's eyes twinkled as she handed over a jade box and smiled at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao opened the jade box. Immediately, brilliant rays of light shone from within as the origin energy intertwined, looking mysterious. There were more than 50 perfect quality origin beads, which surprised Ling Xiao greatly. There are so many perfect quality origin beads. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with shock. After all, although there were many trial testers in Candle Dragon Imperial City, there were not many true geniuses. Ordinary trial testers could not condense a perfect origin bead. Ling Xiao originally felt that it would already be pretty good if he could collect a few perfect quality origin pearls from these dead trial takers. Some of these origin beads are treasures of the creation building, some were taken from the bodies of the trial takers, but most of them were found in the treasures of the Illumination Dragon lineage. I'm afraid they were gathered by the Illumination Dragon lineage over countless years. Now they're all yours. The Jade Fall House Master smiled. If that's the case, then I won't hold back. Ling Xiao smiled. He did not stand on ceremony and kept it. With these over 50 origin pearls, the number of perfect grade origin pearls in his body would most likely exceed 100. You're welcome. This is what you deserve. Consider it my thanks for saving my life. However, what I'm curious about is, are you a robber? If you're not a robber, why do you need so many origin pearls? The Tower Master of Jade Heaven looked at Ling Xiao curiously. Robbers. Take a guess. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Then he took out the Heaven Path seal and handed it to the Tower Master of Jade Heaven. Since you're so generous, I can't be stingy. The Heaven Path seal is yours. From now on, you're the guardian of Jade Heaven in Illumination Dragon Imperial City. Heaven Path seal. The Tower Master of Jade Heaven trembled. Her eyes were filled with incomparable excitement. She looked at Ji Feishuan in the distance with hesitation. Ling Xiao understood her thoughts. He smiled at her and said, "Don't worry. Your Empress doesn't need this item. She agreed to give it to you." "Thank you, Empress." The Tower Master of Jade Heaven's eyes were filled with incomparable excitement and admiration. She bowed respectfully to Ji Feishuan. Illumination Dragon Imperial City has been in chaos for too long. I'll leave the rest to you. After Ba Dao recovers, we should leave. Ling Xiao looked at the Tower Master of Jade Heaven and said, "Don't worry. Thank you." The Tower Master of Jade Heaven looked at Ling Xiao seriously and said. Ling Xiao nodded with a smile. Then he found a secret room in the Guardian's residence and went into seclusion. While Ba Dao was recovering, Ling Xiao went into seclusion in the secret room. He was preparing to refine the dozens of origin pearls. More than 50 origin pearls contained a vast amount of origin energy. Most importantly, they contained a vast amount of origin energy of the Great Tao. For others, refining an origin pearl might not be an easy task. However, for Ling Xiao, with the sky-devouring secret technique and the good fortune jade disc, refining an origin pearl was as simple as eating and drinking. Half a month later, Ling Xiao came out of seclusion. Rumble. His body emitted a vast heavenly aura. Blazing divine light rose, making him look extremely mysterious. In his divine sense, 108 origin Tao fruits revolved around his indestructible primordial spirit like stars. They emitted an eternal light. Ling Xiao's eyes were as bright as the stars. No one dared to look at him directly. After refining all the origin pearls, Ling Xiao's cultivation did not break through. However, he had reached the peak of the 4th heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm. He could enter the 5th heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm at any time. After digesting all of this, Ling Xiao's combat strength had increased by a lot. It's time to go. Ling Xiao's eyes were bright and deep as he looked at the sky. It was still vast and chaotic as if nothing had changed since ancient times. Ji Feishuan, Ba Dao, and the others were already waiting for Ling Xiao outside the Candle Dragon Imperial City. After the chaos, the Candle Dragon Imperial City was no longer as prosperous as before. It had become a little cold and cheerless. However, order had been restored. Ling Xiao arrived outside the Candle Dragon Imperial City and met up with Ji Feishuan and the others. They smiled at each other before leaping up and flying into the distance. Heaven and earth were vast and chaotic mist filled the air. The huge figure of the Candle Dragon Imperial City became smaller and smaller behind them. In the end, it was hidden in the chaos and disappeared without a trace. The Imperial City was just a temporary resting place. The Eternal Emperor Road was a path of conquest. It was a path of bloodshed. There were always all kinds of unknown dangers blocking their way. They passed by many desolate ancient stars, crossed the desolate mountains, flew across the boundless Dead Sea, passed through all kinds of uninhabited regions, and encountered all kinds of dangers. Prehistoric beasts that were taller than the sky lay dormant on the Eternal Emperor Road, as if they were waiting for the trial takers to arrive and become its food. There were all kinds of strange plants, flowers that sucked people's souls, ancient trees that devoured bodies, vines that contained deadly poison, strange fruits that had spiritual intelligence. Along the way, they had experienced countless battles and killings. Chapter 3192. Even though Ling Xiao and Ji Feishuan were extremely powerful, they were still injured. Even a few of the Feather Tribe's girls had died. They became more and more silent. On the Eternal Emperor's road, even a peerless monarch would find it difficult to protect himself, let alone protect others. They had seen all kinds of dangers. In comparison, the dangers in the Candle Dragon Imperial City and Burial Desert were not worth mentioning. Just when they thought they were lost in the Eternal Emperor Road, they finally saw the Second Imperial City. In the vast and boundless chaotic space, A huge city stood between the heavens and the earth like a giant beast from the primeval times. It was still an ancient city wall that was taller than the sky. The majestic aura that came from it made one's heart palpitate. Kunpeng Imperial City. These 4 ancient and mysterious characters were carved into the walls of the Imperial City. It was as if they could devour the minds of everyone present. We're finally here. Everyone felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted off their shoulders, and a joyful smile appeared on their faces. Their faces were filled with the vicissitudes of life, and they were tense at all times. They were alert to any danger that might appear at any time. Now that they saw the Kunpeng Imperial City, they finally felt relieved. The 2 bronze gates of the Kunpeng Imperial City were tens of thousands of feet tall. Many trial takers had lined up outside the gates to enter the city. On both sides of the bronze gates, there were 2 rows of experts in black armor. Each of them was filled with a murderous aura. Their eyes were sharp as they constantly scanned the trial takers entering the city. There was an illusory ancient seal floating above the city gates. It emitted a bright light that shone on every trial taker entering the city. The Kunpeng Imperial City's security is so tight? Ba Dao frowned and said, "This posture, it can't be prepared for me, right?" Ling Xiao smiled and said. There was a glimmer of light in his eyes. To be able to make the Kunpeng Imperial City act like they were facing a great enemy, and even carefully inspect every trial taker entering the city. Who else could it be other than Ling Xiao, who was so bold as to kill the guardian? Ling Xiao, if this is really against you, I'm afraid you won't be able to enter the city. Ji Feishuan said slowly. It's fine. Let's give it a try first. I want to see if this Kunpeng Imperial City is prepared for me. Ling Xiao smiled freely. Then he performed the heaven-shrouding secret skill to conceal his cultivation level and aura. At the same time, fate of the heavenly ways spread out from between Ling Xiao's eyebrows, adding to his heaven-shrouding secret technique. His aura changed drastically, adding an extremely powerful layer of disguise. Although everyone was a little worried, they still nodded their heads. He hoped that it was not because of Ling Xiao. Otherwise, Ling Xiao would really be in trouble. After all, they'd encountered too many dangers along the way. They'd narrowly escaped death, fought bloody battles many times, and barely managed to kill their way here. If one couldn't enter the Imperial City, then reaching the end of Eternal Emperor Road would be as difficult as hell. Everyone lined up behind the trial takers and entered the Imperial City. Boom. The heavenly Dao seal in the void shot out an extremely bright light that shone on everyone's body. Everyone's expression was normal, but they felt like they were being spied on. However, Ling Xiao's expression changed. He felt a vast and terrifying fate of the heavenly ways descending on him. It was blazing like fire. The heavenly ways of the heavenly ways that he used to disguise himself was instantly shattered, and his aura was exposed. Oh no! Is it really targeting me? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat, and a thought appeared in his mind. Boom. His aura instantly soared into the sky, and a figure appeared in the void. It was Ling Xiao's true appearance. Swoosh. 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 The guards on both sides of the city gate stared at Ling Xiao with steely eyes. Then, they unleashed an extremely terrifying aura. They held long spears in their hands and flew across the sky, surrounding Ling Xiao in the middle. You're finally here. Ling Xiao, I didn't expect you to still dare to come to my Kunpeng Imperial City. A middle-aged man in black armor who looked like a commander walked over. His eyes were like an eagle's as he stared at Ling Xiao and said coldly. The aura around him was extremely terrifying. Murderous intent filled the air, and it locked onto Ling Xiao. It was a high-level imperial monarch. However, Ling Xiao could clearly see that there was a trace of deep fear in the guard commander's eyes. Ling Xiao gestured to Ji Feishuan and the others. He transmitted his voice to them, telling them not to act rashly, and to pretend that they didn't know Ling Xiao. This was also the countermeasure that they had discussed previously. They wanted to prevent themselves from being treated as Ling Xiao's accomplice, and being rejected at the door. Lord Commander? Why are you stopping me from entering Kunpeng Imperial City? Ling Xiao pretended to be puzzled as he asked. Ling Xiao, don't even think about sneaking into my Kunpeng Imperial City. The Guardian has already given the order that you are not allowed to enter Kunpeng Imperial City. Are you going to leave by yourself? Or do you want us to ask the Guardian to take action? The guard commander sneered. Boom! The heaven path seal in the void shone brightly and emitted an extremely dangerous aura, locking onto Ling Xiao. It was as if the heaven path seal would attack as soon as Ling Xiao made any move. Guardian of Kunpeng Imperial City, we have no enmity between us. Why are you not allowing me to enter Kunpeng Imperial City? Aren't you afraid that you will be punished by the heaven path? Ling Xiao laughed bitterly in his heart, but he still looked at the heaven path seal and asked loudly, Buzz. As soon as Ling Xiao finished speaking, the heaven path seal shone brightly and the void vibrated slightly. An old man in a black robe with a sinister face appeared in the sky. Greetings to the Guardian. When the guards and commanders saw the old man, they immediately bowed and greeted him. Ling Xiao, you have killed the Guardian of Torch Dragon Imperial City. You are the public enemy of all the Imperial cities. How dare you enter Kunpeng Imperial City? The punishment of the Heaven Path. You have killed the emissary of the Heaven Path. Even if the Heaven Path wants to punish you, you will be the first to be killed. The black-robed Guardian sneered. What? Ling Xiao killed the Guardian of Torch Dragon Imperial City? No wonder the security in Kunpeng Imperial City is so tight today. It is to prevent Ling Xiao from entering Kunpeng Imperial City. If he can't enter the Imperial City, he will be in danger in the wilderness of Eternal Emperor Road without a chance to catch his breath. How did he do it? The Guardian of the Imperial City has unfathomable strength. With the support of the Heaven Path, even a great emperor can't kill the Guardian. Everyone's eyes were filled with shock. The black-robed Guardian's words finally answered their doubts. Kunpeng Imperial City had gone to such great lengths to prevent Ling Xiao from entering the Imperial City. So this was the reason. Chapter 3193. Many of the trial testers came from other Imperial cities, and did not know what had happened in Candle Dragon Imperial City. Lord Guardian, what happened in Candle Dragon Imperial City was an accident. I promise that I won't cause any trouble. Are you really not willing to let me enter the Imperial City? Ling Xiao smiled bitterly. Do you dare to enter if I let you in? The black-robed Guardian sneered. There was a cold killing intent in his eyes. I don't dare to. Ling Xiao shook his head and said honestly. What a joke. If he entered Kunpeng Imperial City now, the black-robed Guardian would kill him immediately. In Kunpeng Imperial City, the Guardian would be able to unleash the unparalleled power of an emperor with the support of the Heaven Dao Seal. Ling Xiao was naturally no match for him. If he could sneak into Kunpeng Imperial City, it would be fine. However, since he was discovered, Ling Xiao would not take the risk. Then why aren't you leaving? The black-robed Guardian sneered. His words were like thunder, and his eyes were filled with disdain. Very well. I'll leave. Lord Guardian, I hope you won't leave Kunpeng Imperial City for the rest of your life. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and stared at the black-robed Guardian. Are you threatening me? Ling Xiao, do you think I'm the Candle Dragon? If you don't know what's good for you, come and find me. The black-robed Guardian said coldly. Goodbye. Ling Xiao did not waste any more time, and turned around to leave. He left without hesitation. Looking at Ling Xiao's back, Ji Feishuan, Fairy Jinghong, and the others were deeply worried. Ba Dao even clenched his fists tightly as his eyes revealed a trace of anger and killing intent. However, they knew that they could not show it at this moment. Otherwise, Ling Xiao's efforts would be wasted. They only hoped that Ling Xiao could leave safely and reach the next Imperial City. The black-robed Guardian looked at Ling Xiao with a trace of burning killing intent in his eyes. He wanted to kill Ling Xiao immediately. He was very doubtful as well because Ling Xiao's cultivation was only at the 4th level of the Imperial Monarch realm, so how exactly did he kill the Candle Dragon? However, he did not dare to take the risk. In the end, he snorted and let Ling Xiao leave. He turned around and entered Kunpeng Imperial City. After all, he was invincible in the Kunpeng Imperial City. This person called Ling Xiao is really a ruthless person. However, if he can't enter the Imperial City, he'll have to take a longer detour and experience more dangers. Moreover, he won't be able to rest and replenish his energy. I'm afraid he won't be able to last much longer, right? Some people looked at Ling Xiao's departing figure with eyes full of sympathy. Who asked him to be so audacious? He actually dared to kill Lord Guardian. This time, I'm afraid there won't be a place for him in the 108 imperial cities. Someone mocked. Everyone shook their heads. After all, they did not have Ling Zhao's charisma. They could only line up obediently and enter the Rock Emperor city. After leaving Kunpeng Imperial City, Ling Xiao fell into deep thought. The 108 Emperor cities are the 108 nodes of the Eternal Emperor's Road. They are also the fastest places to clear the stage. If you can't enter the Kunpeng Monarch City and want to take a detour, you'll have to go through some forbidden areas and dangerous places. Ling Xiao muttered to himself. In the Eternal Emperor's Road, there were many layers of space and it was extremely chaotic. Only the 108 Emperor cities were eternal. It was easy to get lost in the endless wilderness. Moreover, there were many unimaginable dangers in the wilderness. On the way from Torch Dragon Imperial City, Ling Xiao had already deeply understood this point. I'll find a safe place to break through first. Then, I'll think of a way to cross the wilderness. Ling Xiao muttered to himself. After leaving Kunpeng Imperial City, the surroundings were filled with chaotic fog. The space changed and he came to a large swamp. In front of him were lakes and swamps. There were a few sparse withered trees. They looked half-dead but were still stubbornly growing. However, Ling Xiao discovered that there were traces of battle in the swamp. Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly as he followed the traces of battle. Finally, he found a withered peach tree in the swamp. There were traces of freshly picked fruit on it. It looked like the fruit had been picked not long ago. There was even a trace of strange origin energy remaining. This is the origin energy herb, the longevity peach? Amazing! Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly. The longevity peach was extremely precious. It was of the same quality as an extreme Dao metal. It could be used to refine the Supreme Emperor pill. It was already extinct in the universe. There were signs of a fight in the surroundings. Could it be for this longevity immortality peach? Ling Xiao was very curious. He withdrew his aura and continued to chase forward. After flying for tens of thousands of miles and passing through several large swamps, Ling Xiao finally heard the sounds of intense battle. Above a clear lake, dozens of experts in black armor, under the leadership of a middle-aged man in a black robe, surrounded a little black fatty. The dozens of experts in black armor were surrounded by a murderous aura. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent. There were also formation flags in their hands. They intertwined with each other to form an extremely powerful boundary, trapping the little fatty in the middle. The little fatty was extremely fast. He constantly left behind afterimages as he tried to rush out of the boundary. However, he was blocked. Are they the guards of Kunpeng Imperial City? Ling Zhao's eyes shone brightly. The aura of the experts in black armor was exactly the same as the aura of the guards outside Kunpeng Imperial City. The black-robed middle-aged man should be the guard commander. His cultivation had already reached the high-level Imperial Emperor realm. When Ling Zhao's gaze landed on the little black fatty, his heart skipped a beat, and he revealed a look of surprise. It's actually him? Wasn't that little fatty the Kunpeng fellow? Ling Xiao did not expect that the wretched little black fatty would also enter Eternal Emperor Road. However, this little fatty was a little unlucky. He had somehow offended the guards of Kunpeng Imperial City, and was chased all the way here. Moreover, the little fatty's current condition didn't look good. The little fatty was extremely fast, but he was trapped and couldn't escape at all. Longevity grass? No wonder this fellow was trapped. It turns out that he fell into a trap. Ling Zhao's gaze landed on the lake below. There was a huge rock in the center. Half of a purple grass grew in the cracks of the rock. It was filled with a majestic aura of life. The other half was in the little fatty's hand. It looked crystal clear, and contained a large amount of immortal matter. It was the legendary longevity grass. Thinking of the longevity immortality peach, Ling Xiao roughly guessed what had happened. The guards of Kunpeng Imperial City probably saw that the little fatty was extremely slippery and possessed extreme speed. Therefore, they used the longevity grass as bait to set up a trap. When the little fatty was plucking the longevity grass, they activated the formation flags and trapped the little fatty. Fatty Xiaohei's cultivation was only at the 3rd level of the Imperial Monarch realm, so the extreme speed that he took pride in had been restrained. So he seemed to be in a difficult position while being besieged by a group of guards, and it didn't take long for him to fall into a disadvantaged position. Chapter 3194. Bastard. You lackeys of Kuanpeng Imperial City, release the barrier if you dare. I'll fight you for 300 rounds. What's the point of using tricks? Fatty Xiaohei cursed as he dodged the attacks of the guards. Release the barrier? Shameless Fatty Xiaohei, are you trying to trick us? Aren't you just fast? Without speed, you're just a coward. When I catch you later, see how I'll deal with you. The black-robed middle-aged man said viciously with a sneer in his eyes. It seemed like he had suffered quite a bit at Fatty Xiaohei's hands. You bunch of lackeys of Kuanpeng Imperial City. If it wasn't for that old bastard young Kongzi coveting my origin pearl, how could I have been forced to escape from Kuanpeng Imperial City? You're helping the tyrant and want to capture me? Dream on. Fatty Xiaohei shouted with a mocking look in his eyes. He possessed extreme speed, and was able to shift the heavens, leaving behind afterimages in the void. Although he was trapped in the extremely narrow space of the array flags, he was extremely slippery, causing most of the attacks from the guards to miss. However, the formation flags also restricted his speed. Many attacks still landed on his body, causing Fatty Xiaohei to cry out in pain. Fatty Xiaohei, just you wait, I'll tear your mouth apart. The black-robed middle-aged man was furious. His eyes were filled with anger. A sharp saber appeared in his palm. In the next moment, he charged into the space of the array flags. The saber light was unparalleled as it enveloped Fatty Xiaohei. With the black-robed middle-aged man joining in, Fatty Xiaohei was immediately in danger. Fatty Xiaohei was only at the third heaven of the Imperial Monarch realm. Although he possessed extreme speed, he was still somewhat lacking when facing a high-level Imperial Monarch. The saber light in the black-robed middle-aged man's hand was incomparably sharp. Every time the saber landed, it would cause the void to tremble violently. It was like mud, restricting Fatty Xiaohei's extreme speed. Fatty Xiaohei's palm flickered with light. He actually took out a brick from somewhere, and constantly blocked the saber light. Then he looked for an opportunity to travel through the void. However, he was still trembling from the impact. His eyes were filled with incomparable anxiety. The space within the array flag was still shrinking. At this rate, it wouldn't be long before Fatty Xiaohei was captured by the guards. This Fatty Xiaohei is weak, but his ability to cause trouble is top-notch. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly and shook his head. He was prepared to save Fatty Blackie. After all, they were old friends. Moreover, he was also very displeased with the attitude of the Rock Emperor's city guard. Otherwise, he wouldn't have fallen into his current predicament. Ling Xiao, aren't you going to make a move? If he didn't make a move now, his grandfather would be hacked to death. Hurry up and kill these bastards. Right at this moment, Fatty Blackie howled, instantly giving Ling Xiao a big fright. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He thought that Fatty Blackie had discovered him, but he saw Fatty Blackie's eyes darting around. It was obvious that he was up to something. However, when the surrounding guards heard Fatty Xiaohei's words, they instantly became extremely vigilant and hurriedly scanned their surroundings. Ling Xiao. That Ling Xiao who killed the Torch Dragon Empire's city guard? Was he in cahoots with this fatty? Everyone be careful not to be sneak attacked. The black-robed middle-aged man roared. The surrounding guards were extremely vigilant, and were all guarding against Ling Xiao's sneak attack. Naturally, there was a flaw in their control of the formation flags. Boom. Fatty Blackie's eyes lit up. He seized this opportunity and forcefully blocked the black-robed middle-aged man's saber with the brick in his hand. Then he leaped up and suddenly attacked the barrier. The barrier trembled violently and the runes shattered one after another. A crack appeared on the barrier. Fatty Blackie's spirit was greatly lifted, and his eyes were filled with excitement. Bastard, how dare you trick me? You're courting death. Only then did the black-robed middle-aged man realize that Fatty Blackie was actually trying to take the opportunity to escape. He was instantly enraged. His entire body trembled violently, and his eyes were filled with rage. Boom. A blazing saber radiance swept across the sky. This was the black-robed middle-aged man's furious attack. It contained the power of wind and thunder, as if it could shatter the void. Fatty Blackie immediately felt his scalp go numb. If he could attack the barrier again at this moment, the barrier might break. However, he would also be struck by the black-robed middle-aged man's saber. The terrifying power contained in this saber strike made Fatty Blackie not dare to take it head-on. Although he was extremely unwilling in his heart, he still instantly teleported away. Clang! The brick in Fatty Blackie's hand shone brightly and forcefully blocked the saber strike. Instantly, sparks flew in all directions. Fatty Blackie's arm went numb, and the brick in his hand almost flew out of his hand. His entire body trembled violently, and a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. The high-level Imperial Emperor's saber intent was incomparably sharp, but it still injured him. If this continued, he would definitely lose. Seeing that the high-level Imperial Emperor had already gone berserk, Ling Xiao shook his head. This Fatty Blackie is really courting death. He's not good at trickery and was immediately discovered. Boom! Ling Xiao directly revealed himself and punched out in the air. A mighty chaotic light rose up as if an ancient divine mountain had appeared in the chaos. It suppressed the surroundings and swept across the boundless world. It contained a chaotic fist intent of great destruction. Even though the guards were already on guard, they still felt an unparalleled aura in the face of this fist, causing them to be suppressed to the point of being unable to breathe. Crack! Ling Xiao's fist instantly landed on the formation flag barrier. A crisp sound was heard, and the array flag barrier shook violently. The runes collapsed, and a huge crack appeared in the barrier in an instant. Boom! The array flag barrier that was able to seal Fatty Blackie could not even withstand a single punch from Ling Xiao. It instantly shattered. The surrounding guards trembled violently as if they had been struck by lightning, and were directly sent flying. Fuck Ling Xiao! Fatty Blackie was dumbfounded. Fatty Blackie rubbed his eyes hard as he looked at Ling Xiao, who was smiling at him. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He was just casually speaking just now to create an opportunity to escape from the formation flag barrier. He didn't expect Ling Xiao to appear here at all. But now Ling Xiao really appeared? Who are you? The black-robed middle-aged man's eyes narrowed as he stared at Ling Xiao coldly. He could feel an extremely dangerous aura emanating from Ling Xiao's body, making him feel as if he was facing a great enemy. If that punch had been thrown at him, he wouldn't have been able to block it at all. I'm Ling Xiao, the one who killed the candle dragon. Ling Xiao smiled indifferently. What? The black-robed middle-aged man's heart trembled, and all the hair on his body stood on end. Chapter 3195. Ling Xiao. This name reverberated like thunder in the Kuanpeng Imperial City. Ever since the Guardian had banned Ling Xiao from entering Kuanpeng Imperial City, the news of Ling Xiao killing the Guardian of Torch Dragon Imperial City had caused an uproar in the Imperial City. These guards naturally knew about it. They had never imagined that they would run into Ling Xiao when they were ordered to kill Fatty Blackie. But in next to no time, the black-robed middle-aged man became slightly suspicious. Ling Xiao only seemed to be at the fourth heaven of the Imperial Monarch realm, so how was he able to kill the Guardian of Candle Dragon Imperial City? Ling Xiao, haha. I knew it was you. These bastards from Kuanpeng Imperial City dared to hunt me down? Quickly kill them all. Fatty Xiaohei laughed out loud after a short moment of shock. His eyes were filled with excitement, and he was very smug. Let's go. The black-robed middle-aged man's expression changed. He ordered everyone and instantly turned around to teleport away. He was extremely decisive. Although he was puzzled as to why Ling Xiao was only a fourth heaven imperial lord, he knew that Ling Xiao was not someone he could provoke. Although he was very decisive, Ling Xiao was even faster. Boom. An unparalleled fist print pressed down from the sky. It was mighty and seemed to be able to destroy everything. It was extremely terrifying. The black-robed middle-aged man felt that his whole body had been locked down. His eyes were full of shock and anger. With a roar, he raised the saber in his hand. It was extremely dazzling, and he chopped towards Ling Xiao's arm. Crack! The unparalleled fist print landed like an ancient divine mountain. In an instant, the saber light shattered. The saber in the black-robed middle-aged man's hand was directly broken by Ling Xiao. The black-robed middle-aged man's body shook violently. He suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with disbelief as he was sent flying. Swoosh! Ling Xiao charged forward. His gaze was indifferent as he pointed his finger in the air. Spare! The black-robed middle-aged man trembled. His eyes were filled with extreme fear as he opened his mouth to beg for mercy. He finally understood how terrifying Ling Xiao was. However, it was too late. Before he could even beg for mercy, Ling Xiao's finger tapped the space between his brows, directly destroying his indestructible primordial spirit. Boom! His corpse fell from the sky and landed on the ground. His eyes were wide open, filled with unwillingness and fear. Whoosh! 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 As for the remaining dozens of guards, none of them were able to escape. Little gold shot out from Ling Xiao's wrist like a bolt of golden lightning. The origin of poison filled the air and enveloped the guards. Grandsons, watch Grandpa's power! Fatty Xiaohei shouted even more arrogantly. His eyes were filled with excitement, and his figure was extremely fast. A pair of black and white intertwined wings appeared behind him. They were incomparably sharp and could destroy everything. In an instant, they swept past a guard and cut him in half. Even the indestructible primordial spirit couldn't escape. Xiao Jin and Xiao Hei's cooperation was amazing. Not long after, dozens of guards died under their joint attack. Ling Xiao haha. I didn't think it would really be you. Previously in Kuanpeng Imperial City, that old bastard Yang Kongzi said that you killed the guardian of Torch Dragon Imperial City. I didn't believe it. I didn't think it would really be you. Fatty Xiaohei pounced toward Ling Xiao, his eyes filled with excitement. Slap! Ling Xiao slapped Fatty Xiaohei's head and swept him away. He was afraid that Fatty Xiaohei's dirty blood would stain his body. His eyes were filled with disdain. Fatty little black, you're really causing trouble wherever you go. How did you offend the guardian of Kuanpeng Imperial City? He didn't even let you go after you left the Imperial City and even sent guards to kill you? Ling Xiao asked angrily. I'm innocent. When did I cause trouble? Ever since I entered Eternal Emperor Road, I've always kept a low profile and never caused trouble. It was that old bastard Yang Kongzi who took a fancy to my Kuanpeng Dao fruit and wanted to harm me. That's why I escaped from Kuanpeng Imperial City. Fatty Xiaohei shouted that he was wronged. He took a fancy to your Kuanpeng Dao fruit? If he really wanted to attack you, I'm afraid you wouldn't have been able to leave Kuanpeng Imperial City alive, right? How did you escape? Ling Xiao was very curious. The guardian of Kuanpeng Imperial City had the power of a great emperor. It was terrifying and could suppress everything. Fatty Xiaohei's cultivation was only at the third heaven of the Imperial Lord realm. How could he have escaped from the guardian? Hee, that old bastard wants to capture me? Dream on. When he revealed his hostility towards me, I was the first to escape from Kuanpeng Imperial City. He didn't even have the chance to attack me. Fatty Xiaohei said proudly. What? Revealed his hostility towards you? You think he covets your Kuanpeng Dao fruit just because of that? Ling Xiao stared at Fatty Xiaohei in disbelief. Isn't that so? Other than my Kuanpeng Dao fruit, what else do I have that's valuable? Moreover, if he doesn't covet my Kuanpeng Dao fruit, why would he send people to kill me? Fatty Xiaohei said eloquently. All right. You have a point. Ling Xiao slapped his forehead and felt a little helpless. However, no matter what the guardian had taken a liking to, he could only suffer in the face of such a cunning little thing like Fatty Xiaohei. Ling Xiao's depressed mood improved a little at that thought. Ling Xiao, why are you here? Don't tell me you were also chased by that old bastard Yang Kongzi? Fatty Xiaohei asked curiously. I wasn't chased by him and he didn't dare to chase me. However, he didn't allow me to enter Kuanpeng Imperial City. Ling Xiao said indifferently. He didn't allow you to enter Kuanpeng Imperial City? Does that mean you really killed the guardian of Torch Dragon Imperial City? How did you do it? Fatty Xiaohei asked with his eyes wide open. Don't worry about that. I was just lucky. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly and shook his head. Ling Xiao, do you want to take revenge? That old bastard Yang Kongzi isn't a good person. Why don't we do something big and kill that old bastard? Fatty Xiaohei rolled his eyes and chuckled. Kill Yang Kongzi? You're really daring. Ling Xiao couldn't keep up with Fatty Xiao's train of thought. He glared at him and said, what a joke. Young Kongzi was very cautious and had been hiding in Kuanpeng Imperial City. Even if he left the Imperial City, it wouldn't be easy for Ling Xiao to kill him. Ling Xiao only managed to kill the Candle Dragon with the help of the sky-burying Ant Queen. Fatty Xiaohei wanted to take revenge for himself, but he wanted to use Ling Xiao as a tool. Did he really think the Guardian was a fat pig that could be easily killed? Chapter 3196. Ling Xiao, do you know who Yan Kongzi is? I suspect that he's a robber. Fatty Xiaohei said mysteriously to Ling Xiao. Robber? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He did not expect to hear about robbers from Fatty Xiaohei. That's right. He's a robber. Do you know? I've been in Kuanpeng Imperial City for more than a month. Over the past month, tens of thousands of trial takers have participated in Kuanpeng Imperial City's test. However, most of them died or were injured. Less than 10% of them survived. However, the strangest thing is that most of their corpses have disappeared after they died. Even the fruits of Tao in their bodies have disappeared. According to my observations, their corpses and fruits of Tao might have fallen into Yin Kongzi's hands. Yin Kongzi is a peerless imperial emperor with unfathomable cultivation. He's also the guardian of Kuanpeng Imperial City. Why would he want so many origin source fruits? I can't think of any reason other than his identity as a robber. That's why I didn't dare to participate in the test. In the end, I was targeted by Yin Kongzi and had no choice but to escape from Kuanpeng Imperial City. Fatty Xiaohei said to Ling Xiao. Yin Kongzi is a robber? That's not impossible. However, even if he's a robber, it won't be that easy for us to kill him, right? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a bright light. I've already asked around. Kuanpeng Imperial City's test is in the Mountain Sea Marsh. Yin Kongzi has a manor in the Mountain Sea Marsh that's guarded by Kuanpeng Imperial City's guards. It's extremely tightly guarded, and is protected by a powerful formation. I suspect that Yin Kongzi's secrets are in that manor. Fatty Xiaohei said cunningly. You've already asked around. Looks like you've been eyeing Yin Kongzi for a long time, right? Ling Xiao looked at Fatty Xiaohei, and said with a faint smile. Hee, you can't say that. Who asked Yin Kongzi, that old guy, to want to harm me? Even if there's no evidence that he's a robber, there must be many treasures in that manor. Let's go and rob his manor to vent our anger. What do you think? Fatty Xiaohei chuckled and instigated. If Yin Kongzi is a robber as you said, there might be something shameful in this manor. Very good. I also want to see the legendary robber. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with light. Robbers were scurrying rats on the Eternal Emperor Road. Everyone wanted to beat them up. The goal of robbers was to plunder Origin Tao fruits. The more Origin Tao fruits they plunder, the stronger they would be. Not only were many trial challengers and geniuses likely to be robbers, but even the living beings on the Eternal Emperor Road could be robbers. If Yin Kongzi's identity as a robber was exposed, he would be torn to shreds by the enraged trial challengers even without Ling Xiao saying anything. Then let's set off now. The Kuanpeng Imperial City's test is in 3 days. During these 3 days, Yin Kongzi won't be going to the Mountain Sea Great Marsh. He won't be paying attention to the Mountain Sea Great Marsh. This is our best chance. Fatty Xiaohei rubbed his palms and said excitedly. All right. Ling Xiao nodded and said. In the Imperial City's test, as the supervisor, the Guardian could use the Seal of Heaven path to observe the actions of all the participants. At that time, if Ling Xiao and Fatty Blackie had entered the Mountain Sea Marsh, they would have been instantly discovered by Yin Kongzi. Only the gap before the test would be the best opportunity to do so. Fatty Xiaohei, show your true form and bring me into the Mountain Sea Great Marsh. I don't know the way. If you want me to take revenge for you, it will depend on your performance. Ling Xiao smiled and patted Fatty Xiaohei's head. Don't even think about it. Fatty Xiaohei's face was filled with hostility as he snorted. He knew what Ling Xiao was planning. However, it was impossible for him, the mythical Kuanpeng, to be his mount. Boom. Fatty Xiaohei's aura rose and emitted a ferocious aura. The light was dazzling as he turned into a small Kuanpeng. His wings were like the clouds in the sky, black and white intertwined and contained the qi of yin and yang. He compromised in the end. Ling Xiao smiled and jumped onto the back of the Kuanpeng. Swoosh. In the next instant, the Kuanpeng shot up into the sky like a bolt of black lightning and disappeared from the Great Marsh. The Mountain Sea Great Marsh was the largest forbidden area outside of the Kuanpeng Imperial City. It spanned thousands of miles and was filled with mountains and lakes. It was like a vast ocean. Many mountains floated above the lakes. Clouds and mist floated above the lakes. It was like a mysterious island. However, the Mountain Sea Great Marsh was also extremely dangerous as it was a forbidden area. Those mountains were occupied by ancient beasts. There were many ferocious fishes in the lakes. If the trial challengers were careless, they would be eaten by the fishes. There was a space barrier between the Mountain Sea Great Marsh and the outside world. However, it was easy to enter but difficult to leave. It was not easy to leave the Mountain Sea Great Marsh. Swoosh. Ling Xiao rode on the back of the Kuanpeng and shot through the space barrier like an arrow. He entered the Mountain Sea Great Marsh. Almost instantly, some powerful living beings were alarmed. In the sparkling lake, a few strange fishes that were shining with golden light jumped out. They wanted to attack the Kuanpeng. On the surrounding mountains, there were birds that were covered in flames flying over. Their screeches were extremely sharp. It was as if they could pierce through metal and stone. Roar. The Kuanpeng roared furiously. He opened his mouth and a powerful devouring force exploded. He swallowed the strange fishes and birds into his stomach. How dare you be so presumptuous in front of your grandfather? You don't know your place. The Kuanpeng said proudly. His eyes were filled with arrogance. Rumble. At that moment, the calm lake below started to shake violently. Huge waves surged and the void shook. A ferocious aura exploded. In the next instant, a huge 9-headed snake that was 10,000 feet long charged out of the lake. Its body was as black as ink and the 9 snake heads looked extremely ferocious. It spat out blue flames that contained an extremely cold power. It was as if it could freeze everything. The 9 blue flames intertwined with each other and moved at an extremely fast speed towards the Kuanpeng. Ancient beasts? Oh no. The Kuanpeng's eyes changed and a terrifying aura exploded around him. He shot up into the sky and spread his wings. He left an afterimage on the spot and appeared 1,000 miles away. Boom. The blue flames rose, and there was an earth-shattering roar. It froze the space within a few hundred miles. Chapter 3197. The Kuanpeng was shocked. It did not dare to stay any longer. It flapped its wings and flew away at top speed. Behind it, the 9-headed snake could not catch up. It let out a loud hiss, causing the water to explode. Many ancient beasts around it trembled in fear. Let's see if you still dare to show off, Ling Xiao said with a smile. The strength of the 9-headed snake was extremely terrifying. It was comparable to a peerless monarch. It should be one of the kings of the Mountain Sea Marsh. Normally, it would hide in the depths of the lake. For some reason, it was disturbed by the Kuanpeng today. If the Kuanpeng did not have top speed, it would not have been able to escape from the 9-headed snake. I don't want to lower myself to its level. I'll take care of it later. The Kuanpeng snorted coldly. However, it did not dare to be so arrogant. Although it was still flying in the sky, it carefully concealed its aura and behaved itself. After all, this was the Mountain Sea Swamp. Powerful ancient beasts could be seen everywhere. Although it had top speed, it did not dare to be too arrogant. Their journey was considered peaceful. The Kuanpeng did not dare to provoke some of the powerful ancient beasts. Even if it was discovered, it would immediately use top speed to escape, so that the ancient beasts would not be able to catch up. Some of the weaker untainted land creatures, after sensing the Kuanpeng's aura, avoided it obediently. Soon, they arrived at the manor that the Kuanpeng had mentioned. A tall mountain floated above the sea of clouds. It was covered with tall ancient trees. It looked lush and auspicious. It was filled with a majestic aura of life. It was extraordinary. One could vaguely see that there were jade palaces on the mountain. Exquisite pavilions were hidden among the trees. It looked very unique. However, this floating mountain was enveloped by a huge barrier, which contained an incomparably strong defensive power. Moreover, there were many figures with powerful auras in the barrier. They were the powerful guards of the Kunpeng Imperial City. They were constantly patrolling the floating mountain to prevent others from getting close. The floating mountain seemed to be a forbidden area in the mountain sea swamp. Ling Xiao realized that there were no auras of ancient beasts around. Ling Xiao, this is the manor of the old man Yang Kongzi. He would come here every time there is a test in the mountain sea swamp. There must be treasures inside. Fatty Xiaohei's eyes lit up as he said to Ling Xiao eagerly, "This barrier is very strong." Ling Xiao's eyes sparkled. The boundary outside the floating mountain contained a powerful emperor's aura. The great Tao laws intertwined and origin energy permeated the air. It was an extremely powerful emperor's formation. Although it looked incomplete, it was still powerful enough. Ordinary imperial emperors couldn't break the barrier at all. Even if a peerless imperial emperor came, it wouldn't be so easy to break the barrier. Moreover, there must be powerful guards on top of the floating mountain. Once the barrier was attacked, it would immediately be discovered by the guards. This spirit formation looked mysterious and unfathomable. Furthermore, there was an incomparably vast heavenly might that was capable of blocking the prying eyes of those monstrous beasts. Young Kongzi had spent so much effort to protect this manor. It seemed that there must be some secrets in this manor. This barrier is indeed very strong. I tried to sneak in a few times, but I was discovered. So, we can only rely on you. Fatty Xiaohei chuckled as if it was a matter of course. Let's take a look first. Ling Xiao said in a non-committal manner. He ordered Fatty Xiaohei to conceal his aura, and circled around the huge barrier outside the floating mountain. The enchantment looked flawless, without any flaws. From the sky to the sea, the entire floating mountain was covered by the barrier. Ling Xiao, can we sneak into the barrier? Fatty Xiaohei asked with great anticipation. It's very difficult. But we should be able to give it a try. Perhaps we can use a diversion tactic. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he spoke slowly. Diversion tactic? Are you saying that we can lure some exotic beasts to attack the barrier? I'm afraid that's very difficult to do, right? Fatty Xiaohei immediately understood Ling Xiao's idea. That's right. We can break through from the bottom of the sea and lure some exotic beasts to attack the barrier. We can take advantage of the chaos to break in. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Young Kongzi must have added the qi of the way of the heavens to this formation. It exudes a powerful heavenly might, which prevents those primitive strange beasts from approaching. I'm afraid it won't be easy for us to attract those primitive strange beasts. Fatty Xiaohei said. He had thought of this idea before, but he failed in the end. Let's give it a try first. Ling Xiao smiled faintly with an indifferent expression. Fatty Xiaohei was also very curious. How exactly would Ling Xiao lure the exotic beasts over? Whoosh! Under Ling Xiao's command, Fatty Xiaohei immediately rushed into the lake below like a black bolt of lightning. The barrier of the floating mountain was like a huge ball of light. It extended all the way to the deepest part of the lake, and connected with the soft surface of the lake. No living creature dared to approach the ball of light for 100 miles. The mysterious and vast heavens aura made any exotic beasts tremble from the depths of their primordial spirits. Ling Xiao and Fatty Xiaohei came to the place where the ball of light and the lake connected. Ling Xiao's palm flashed and a milky white jade bottle appeared. What's this? Fatty Xiaohei asked curiously. He could feel that there seemed to be an extremely precious treasure in the jade bottle. It made him feel a strong desire in the depths of his heart. Good stuff. It's something that can make exotic beasts go crazy. You have to control yourself later. Otherwise, you'll be torn to pieces by those crazy exotic beasts before you even enter the barrier. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He opened the jade bottle. Immediately, an extremely rich fragrance spread out from the jade bottle. It was a ball of sparkling liquid. It was like nectar that contained an extremely powerful spirituality. It twisted in the lake, causing the surrounding void to tremble slightly. A mysterious wave spread out from the ball of liquid. At the same time, it was accompanied by a strong fragrance. Fatty Xiaohei shuddered. His eyes widened in an instant, and his breathing became extremely rapid. His eyes were filled with an incomparably blazing expression. This is life essence. Fatty Xiaohei was so excited that he almost jumped out. However, Ling Xiao grabbed him. What are you trying to do? This is bait for those exotic beasts. If you eat this, how are you going to lure them? Ling Xiao said unhappily. Chapter 3198. What a waste. What a waste. Ling Xiao, you actually used the life essence flower to lure the ancient beasts? I'll fight it out with you. How much life essence flower do you have? Hurry up and hand it over. Fatty Xiaohei was about to go crazy as he glared fiercely at Ling Xiao. No, that's all I have. In Candle Dragon Imperial City, I killed a peerless Imperial Emperor Realm Desolate beast to refine this much. Ling Xiao said with a shrug. The life essence flower was the life essence condensed from the life essence of a peerless Emperor Realm Ancient Beast. It was an irresistible temptation to ancient beasts. Didn't you see that even Fatty Xiaohei was about to go crazy? The life essence flower could help ancient beasts improve their level of life and be reborn. It would give them powerful talents and even awaken their intelligence. Fatty Xiaohei didn't expect Ling Xiao to take out the life essence flower. If he knew that Ling Xiao had the life essence flower, he would have snatched it. The life essence flower was refined by Ling Xiao from the heaven-burying Ant Queen's body with Tong Tong's help. Although this thing was precious, it was nothing to Ling Xiao. He didn't feel the pinch at all when he used it to lure ancient beasts. However, Fatty Xiaohei's face was full of pain as he glared fiercely at Ling Xiao as if Ling Xiao owed him money. What a sin! What a sin! If you had said that you had the life essence flower, why would we need to lure ancient beasts? I'll help you restrain the guards in the barrier and create an opportunity for you. You just have to give me the life essence flower. Fatty Xiaohei wailed. Give it to you? You're only at the third heaven of the Emperor Realm. Even dozens of guards almost captured you alive. How can you restrain the guards in the manner? Who are you kidding? Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with suspicion. Fatty Xiaohei was speechless. He immediately felt extremely hurt. He was despised. He was a divine beast, the Kuanpeng, one of the overlords of the ancient mythological era. He could devour heaven and earth and was omnipotent. Now he was actually despised by Ling Xiao? Don't talk, there's movement. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he hurriedly signaled for Fatty Hei to be quiet. Then the two of them silently hid in a crack in a rock far away, waiting for an opportunity to make a move. Rumble. The heavens and earth quaked as the lake surged like a raging ocean, going completely berserk. Waves after waves of ferocious chi swept across the sky, setting off giant waves that emitted ancient and terrifying murderous intent. The life essence radiance was like a small sun, blooming with dazzling light. At the same time, it exuded a fatal fragrance that tempted those exotic beasts. A black crocodile tens of thousands of feet long appeared. Its body was covered in dragon scales, and its eyes were cold and indifferent. Its aura was monstrous as it opened its bloody mouth and bit toward the origin flower of life. Boom. However, at this moment, a golden swordfish that was shining with golden light, and as sharp as a sword came across the sky and crashed into the black crocodile. Black poisonous fog surged in the surroundings, and the ground violently trembled. A massive black dragon turtle with a savage dragon head pounced through the air. Hiss. Hiss. However, a series of hissing sounds were heard as terrifying waves swept across. In an instant, a giant snake with 9 heads appeared and pounced toward the dragon turtle. Besides that, countless beasts swarmed over and filled up the lake. Then, a fierce battle broke out between them. Boom. 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 They seemed to have gone completely crazy. The origin flower of life was extremely intelligent. It didn't stop there. After Ling Xiao removed the seal, it instantly turned into a stream of light and moved around in an attempt to escape. Those exotic beasts went completely crazy in order to snatch the origin flower of life. Why would they care if this was a forbidden area? Even the vast heavenly might emitted by the boundary was thrown to the back of their minds. They ignored it and only focused on snatching the origin flower of life. They crazily collided with the boundary, causing it to tremble violently. Dazzling runes intertwined with each other like a huge net, providing a strong defensive power. This is too much. There are actually 4 of them. Ling Xiao's body trembled. His eyes revealed a trace of incomparable shock. The black crocodile, the golden swordfish, the dragon turtle, and the nine-headed snake exuded a terrifying aura. They all had the power of a peerless emperor. These were the 4 peerless emperors. Especially the nine-headed snake. It was the same nine-headed snake that chased after Ling Xiao and Fatty Blackie. Ling Xiao thought that it would attract some exotic beasts to attack the boundary, but he didn't expect that even the giant beasts would be attracted. 4 great ancient beasts. Ling Xiao, these 4 great ancient beasts won't directly tear apart the boundary of the floating mountains formation, right? Fatty Xiaohei was also shocked as he asked nervously. It's hard to say. Now we can only hope that the boundary of the formation is strong enough. With such a big commotion, the people in the floating mountain should be alarmed, right? Ling Xiao said slowly. A trace of light flashed in his eyes. The scene in front of him was beyond his expectations. However, the more chaotic it was, the easier it would be for them to fish in troubled waters. In the floating mountain. What's going on? Why are there so many exotic beasts attacking the boundary of the formation? The boundary of the formation is supported by the heavenly Tao's providence. The exotic beasts shouldn't dare to come here. Why are they so crazy? Not good. Hurry up and strengthen the boundary of the formation, then kill those exotic beasts. We can't let them barge in. Otherwise, if the guardian is furious, we'll all die. Powerful figures came across the sky. They were all the guards of the floating mountain. At this moment, their eyes were filled with shock and their faces were very ugly. So many exotic beasts attacking the boundary of the formation caught them off guard. Rumble. The formation was shaking violently. Runes were destroyed one after another, and then reformed, blocking the crazy attacks of the prehistoric beasts. Especially the 4 primeval beasts. They were overlords comparable to supreme monarchs, and they were extremely powerful. Normally, they rarely appeared in the mountain sea marsh. Who would have thought that a single piece of life origin radiance would actually draw all 4 of them out? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Hundreds of guards flew out from the floating mountain. Among them were 5 guard commanders. They were all wearing black armor. Their faces were cold, and their auras were extremely powerful. Their cultivations were at the high-level emperor realm. With such strength, they should be more than enough to guard the floating mountain. However, what happened today was beyond their expectations. Under the lead of the 5 guard commanders, the hundreds of guards activated their powerful strength to kill the exotic beasts. They wanted to reduce the pressure on the boundary of the formation. Soon, the lake was dyed red with blood. The smell of blood spread out, arousing the killing intent of the exotic beasts. They roared and killed each other even more fiercely. Rumble. The boundary of the formation left by young Kongzi was indeed powerful. However, under the attacks of the 4 great ancient beasts, it became dimmer and dimmer. It seemed like it would shatter at any time. The guards of the floating mountain have been attracted. This is our chance. Next, we should enter the floating mountain. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he said slowly. Leave it to me. In such a chaotic situation, they definitely won't notice us. We have to hurry up. Before the boundary of the formation collapses, we have to take all the treasures in the floating mountain. Fatty Xiaohei said eagerly. His eyes were filled with excitement. Chapter 3199. Let's go. Ling Xiao nodded and said. Whoosh. The fatty was like a black bolt of lightning. He silently rushed out of the bottom of the lake and flew towards the floating mountain. Rumble. At this moment, the barrier that enveloped the floating mountain was trembling violently. Runes shattered one after another, and the barrier became dimmer and dimmer. The guards of the floating mountain were all gathered at the bottom of the lake. They were killing beasts and preventing them from destroying the barrier. No one was patrolling the mountain, which created the perfect opportunity for Fatty Xiaohei. Buzz. The fatty's body emitted a mysterious spatial fluctuation, like a ripple, enveloping him and Ling Xiao in an instant. The spatial ripple was extremely mysterious. It was as if Ling Xiao and Fatty Xiaohei had become one with the space. At the same time, Fatty Hei's body exuded a powerful devouring power, which devoured all the surrounding space energy. They quickly approached the spatial enchantment. Taking advantage of the fact that a few runes were destroyed, They instantly rushed into the enchantment. Rumble. The surrounding space seemed to have solidified in that instant. An incomparably terrifying pressure came crashing down, wanting to crush Ling Xiao and Fatty Blackie into dust. Fatty Xiaohei's space origin and devour origin erupted at the same time. He resisted the spatial pressure and devoured the spatial energy as he rushed into the barrier. The boundary of the formation shook violently and emitted a dazzling light. It was as if someone had forced their way in, and it began to issue a warning. However, it was so chaotic that the guards didn't notice that someone had rushed into the barrier. Space origin Dao fruit and devour origin Dao fruit? Fatty Xiaohei, you're good. Ling Zhao's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. Fatty Xiaohei had actually condensed 2 origin Dao fruits. This was unexpected. Hehe, I'm the Kuanpeng divine beast. I have the talent of space and devouring. I'm naturally compatible with these 2 great Dao origins. When I became an imperial emperor, I condensed 2 great Dao fruits of origin. It can be said that this is unprecedented. The Kuanpeng race will respect me. Fatty Xiaohei said proudly. Even the Kuanpeng clan could only choose to condense a space Dao fruit or a devour Dao fruit. Not only was it extremely difficult to condense 2 origin Dao fruits at the same time, very few people were willing to do so. You've condensed 2 origin Dao fruits, but if I'm not wrong, your cultivation speed has slowed down a lot, right? Ling Xiao looked at Fatty Blackie with a faint smile on his face. Condensing 2 origin Dao fruits at the same time, and trying to advance simultaneously, the speed at which his cultivation improved was far inferior to that of someone who had only condensed 1 origin Dao fruit. Ling Zhao's words seemed to have poked at Fatty Hei's sore spot, causing him to almost jump up. So what if my cultivation is a little slower? I'm invincible in the same realm. Can any expert at the 3rd level of the Imperial Monarch realm be a match for me? Once I break through to the 4th level of the Imperial Monarch realm, I'll definitely not be inferior to you. Fatty Xiaohei said angrily. I hope so. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and decided not to hurt Fatty Blackie's feelings. If Fatty Blackie knew that he had a total of 108 origin Dao fruits in his body right now, he would probably be so depressed that he would kill himself. As they spoke, they had already passed through the formation barrier and entered the floating mountain. The floating mountain was majestic and towered into the clouds. Towering ancient trees stood in a forest and mist rose. It was filled with majestic vitality. Streams of auspicious qi intertwined and filled the air, making it look like an immortal's paradise. What a great place. The origin energy here is so dense. That old fellow Yang Kongzi must have put in a lot of effort. There must be treasures here. Fatty Blackie's eyes lit up as he spoke excitedly. Ling Xiao closed his eyes slightly and then slowly opened them. A mysterious 9-colored light shot out, as if it could penetrate everything. The origin energy of this floating mountain is emitted from the belly of the mountain. The densest place is there. If there's really a treasure like you said, it should be there. Ling Xiao pointed to the front, his eyes shining brightly. The belly of the mountain? What exactly is that old fellow Yang Kongzi hiding? Fatty Blackie's curiosity was piqued. He had only sensed that there was something wrong with the floating mountain before, but he didn't know what was inside. Using his incomparably powerful spatial talent, he swaggered over the floating mountain with Ling Xiao without being discovered by anyone. Soon, Fatty Blackie found an extremely large manor on the hanging mountain. In the deepest part of the manor, there were pavilions and terraces hidden between the trees. They were simple in design and looked exquisite. There were a few beautiful maids in the manor. Their figures were graceful, and although their cultivation wasn't high, they all had extraordinary temperaments. However, at this moment, they were all hiding everywhere. Their eyes were filled with terror, and they were trembling all over. There was a herb garden in the manor. Dense origin energy rose like mist in the herb garden. It shone with dazzling light. Stalks of origin energy that flickered with the glow of treasures were planted in the garden. They were of various shapes and appeared rather extraordinary. Hiss! There are so many origin energy herbs? Good heavens! Did that old fellow Yang Kongzi plunder all the origin energy herbs in the Mountain Sea Great Swamp and bring them here? Fatty Xiaohei's eyes lit up with a fervent look. Those origin energy herbs were incomparably precious. Many of them were even extinct in the universe. Fatty Blackie couldn't take his eyes off them after seeing them. Don't waste time. These origin energy herbs aren't the most precious. Think of a way to enter the belly of the mountain first. Ling Xiao slapped Fatty Blackie and said, "Oh no. The formation boundary can't hold on any longer. Hurry up and inform the guardian." At this moment, an angry roar came from afar. Following that, an extremely terrifying sound of self-destruction was heard. It shook the heavens and the earth, and the void shook. It contained an incomparable wave of despair. It was a guard commander. In order to protect the formation boundary, he chose to self-destruct. He directly blew up one of the 9-headed snake's heads. The 4 prehistoric giant beasts seemed to be enraged. They attacked the formation boundary even more ferociously. The eyes of the guards were filled with anxiety. Their eyes were filled with fear and despair. They had no idea how long the barrier could last. Oh no! Such a big thing has happened here. I'm afraid young Kongzi will be here soon. Listen to my command. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with light. He knew that the guards of the floating mountain couldn't hold on for much longer. The formation boundary here couldn't hold on any longer. According to the situation, it wouldn't be long before young Kongzi arrived. They had to hurry up. Chapter 3200. Wang. Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly as he activated the Eye of the Ruler. Chaos, fate, karma, and reincarnation intertwined, instantly making his eyes mysterious and majestic. In front of Ling Xiao's eyes, there were no more secrets in the floating mountain. Everything was revealed to him. Ling Xiao saw that the belly of the floating mountain had been hollowed out. Rich origin energy intertwined within, just like a herb garden. That was the biggest secret. Go straight for 20 miles and enter the palace on the far left. Open the seat of honor. There's a passageway to the belly of the mountain. Following Ling Xiao's instructions, Fatty Xiaohei did not hesitate. Like a bolt of black lightning, he charged into the palace in an instant. Boom. Fatty Xiaohei didn't care if he was discovered or not. He swept his wings across the table and blew up the seat at the head of the table. Dazzling light shone in front of his eyes, interweaving with dazzling runes, sealing up a passage. This was the passageway to the belly of the mountain. In the palm of Ling Xiao's hand, the devouring flame appeared and flew towards the runes, enveloping them. The runes burned fiercely, causing the surrounding space to distort slightly. Soon a crisp sound was heard. The runes shattered, and the power within was directly devoured by the sky-devouring fire. The seal had been opened. Let's go. Ling Xiao took the lead and entered the passageway. Fatty Blackie also hurriedly followed after him. Huge luminous pearls were embedded in the passageway, making it look as bright as day. One could clearly see that the passageway was made of some kind of special divine metal. Mysterious patterns intertwined on it, forming an indestructible seal. Only this passageway could lead to the belly of the mountain. It was completely isolated from the outside world. Ling Xiao and Fatty Blackie were extremely fast. After passing through the long passageway, they quickly arrived at the belly of the mountain. In the belly of the mountain was an incomparably vast cave. Rich origin energy surged violently and had completely vaporized. It surged into Ling Xiao and Fatty Blackie's bodies, making them feel comfortable all over. However, the scene in front of them left Ling Xiao and Fatty Blackie dumbfounded. A black ancient tree was rooted in the ground. Its branches and leaves were strong and powerful, shining with sharpness as if it was cast from metal. It was very mysterious. Most importantly, there was a person on each of the branches. Thousands of figures hung on the ancient trees. Their hearts were pierced. Their eyes were wide open, filled with hatred, anger, pleading, grief, despair, and so on. Being stared at by thousands of figures, Ling Xiao and Fatty Blackie couldn't help but tremble. The scene in front of him was too strange. The thousands of figures were shrouded in a thick aura of death. They looked like corpses, but there was still a trace of life in them. They were like the living dead. Their eyes were dim, like candlelight in the wind. Their lives could be extinguished at any moment. Above their heads, the tree branch pierced through their hearts and came out from the top of their heads. It bore a mysterious fruit that was interwoven with the source power of the great Tao. It looked mysterious and unfathomable. Origin Tao fruit. These words surfaced in Ling Zhao's heart almost instantly. They had actually been imprisoned here. And through such an evil method. All for the sake of nurturing their origin Dao fruit. What is this thing? They're all trial takers? Did Yin Kongzi imprison them here? Isn't Yin Kongzi too crazy? Fatty Blackie grabbed Ling Zhao's arm tightly. He felt his hair stand on end. His eyes were filled with disbelief, and his heart was filled with questions. They're trial takers, and they're all trial takers who have cultivated different Dao fruits. Ling Zhao's eyes were deep and flashed with a cold light. These people should be trial takers who had entered Kuanpeng Imperial City. However, for some unknown reason, they had been captured and imprisoned here by Yin Kongzi. The ancient tree was very unfamiliar. Ling Zhao didn't recognize it either, but it was filled with an evil aura that sent chills down his spine. It's the Million Spirit Blood Demon tree. I didn't expect someone to condense such an evil thing in this epoch. Is he trying to nurture a perfect origin Dao fruit? What a guy! At this moment, the evil spirit's voice rang out in Ling Zhao's mind. Million Spirit Blood Demon tree? What's that? Ling Zhao asked when he heard that the evil spirit seemed to recognize the ancient tree. The Million Spirit Blood Demon tree is an extremely evil thing. It needs the blood of 10,000 spirits to grow. TSK. Even the flesh and blood of 10 million spirits won't be enough to grow a Million Spirit Blood Demon tree to such a tall height. This Million Spirit Blood Demon tree probably doesn't belong to this epoch. When the Million Spirit Blood Demon tree grows up, it's similar to a cauldron. It can absorb the flesh, blood, primordial spirits, and Dao fruits of living beings to condense a powerful origin Dao fruit. I wonder who left this Million Spirit Blood Demon tree behind. Is he trying to nurture a perfect origin Dao fruit? Over 1,000 origin Dao fruits at once. How extravagant! The evil spirit clicked his tongue in wonder. Million Spirit Blood Demon tree? Using the blood of 10,000 spirits to condense the strongest origin Dao fruit? Then these trial takers. Ling Zhao's eyes flickered with astonishment. Although these trial takers are still breathing, they're no different from being dead. Their flesh, blood, and primordial spirits have merged with the Dao fruit. If you take them down, they will die immediately. I advise you to kill them and give them a quick death. It's better than living a life worse than death. The evil spirit said with a sigh. Living a life worse than death? The guardian of Kuanpeng Imperial City was truly extravagant. As a guardian, it's fine if he doesn't preside over the heavenly path trials properly, but he's actually targeting the trial takers? And the so-called heavenly path, is it really fair? Ling Zhao said with a cold grin. His eyes flickered with strong murderous intent. He had a strong urge to kill Yin Kongzi. No wonder Yin Kongzi had protected the floating mountain so well. He had even set up all kinds of seals, formations, and boundaries, and left guards to guard the place. As it turned out, this was his greatest secret. Ling Zhao told Fatty Blackie what he had learned from the evil spirit. Fatty Blackie was dumbfounded too. He's using the trial takers as cauldrons to condense the strongest origin Dao fruit with the Million Spirit Blood Demon tree? Is Yin Kongzi, is he out of his mind? Fatty Blackie's voice was trembling. He could not help but shudder. He finally understood why so many trial takers had disappeared in the previous trials. There were so many casualties. As it turned out, they did not die in the trials. Yin Kongzi had captured them and brought them here. Luckily, he was extra careful. Otherwise, he would be hanging on the Million Spirit Blood Demon tree by now. Yin Kongzi, damn it. Fatty Blackie said through clenched teeth. He was trembling all over. Chapter 3201. Fatty Xiaohei finally confirmed his guess. Yin Kongzi was indeed after his Dao fruit of Devour. Moreover, Yin Kongzi did not want to take his Dao fruit of Devour. Instead, he wanted to hang him on the Million Spirits Bloodfiend tree, and use his primordial spirit and flesh to nourish the perfect origin Dao fruit of origin. If he had not found a chance to escape from Kuanpeng Imperial City, he would have ended up like this. Fatty Xiaohei could not help but shudder at the thought of this. He was terrified. Ling Zhao, didn't you already kill the guardian of Candle Dragon Imperial City? Yin Kongzi is not that bad. He has committed such heinous crimes and must die. Why don't you kill him too? Fatty Xiaohe looked at Ling Xiao with great anticipation. Kill Young Kongzi? Do you really think the guardians are cabbages? I can't defeat Young Kongzi now. Ling Xiao rolled his eyes and said. Previously, he had killed the guardian of the Candle Dragon Imperial City, Candle Jiuyin, due to various factors. It was not his true strength. If he had to face Young Kongzi head-on, he would not be able to kill him. Can't defeat Young Kongzi? Are we going to let him be so arrogant? Why don't we use the strategy of driving the tiger to devour the wolf, and let the 4 primitive beasts fight Young Kongzi? Fatty Xiaohe was a little frustrated, but he quickly came up with an idea. It's a good plan, but how are you going to make the 4 primitive beasts fight Young Kongzi? The 4 primitive beasts are not idiots. They won't be at your mercy. Ling Xiao said slowly. That is indeed a problem. Fatty Xiaohe scratched his head in frustration. But maybe there's still a chance. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered as he looked at the Million Spirits Bloodfiend tree. The formation boundary outside Floating Mountain was already on the verge of collapse. Ling Xiao felt that if he could open the belly of the mountain and let the 4 primeval beasts see the 10,000 spirits bloodsucking tree, they would probably not let go of the Origin Dao fruit on the tree. After all, the Origin Dao fruit was an unbearable temptation to the primitive beasts and primitive beasts. What is it? Fatty Xiaohe's eyes lit up as he hurriedly asked. Let's try it first. Ling Xiao said non-committally. Seeing that Ling Xiao was keeping them in suspense, Fatty Xiaohe scratched his head anxiously. At the same time, he was filled with anticipation. He only had a single wish now, and it was to kill Yin Kongzi. Yin Kongzi made Fatty He feel deeply threatened. If Yin Kongzi didn't die, Fatty He wouldn't feel safe at all. Fellow cultivators, I know you can all hear me. You should be well aware of your physical condition. Your origin spirits and flesh have been nourished by the Origin Dao fruit and the Myriad Spirits Bloodfiend tree. Therefore I will kill you and set you free. Ling Zhao's voice was clearly transmitted to the 10,000 Spirits Bloodfiend tree, and into the minds of all the trial takers. But don't worry, after I kill you, I will make Young Kongzi pay the price. At that time, I will send Young Kongzi to accompany you and avenge you in this battle. Ling Zhao's eyes shone brightly as he spoke seriously. Then he clasped his hands at the trial takers in an extremely solemn manner. The trial takers on the 10,000 Spirits Bloodfiend tree seemed to have heard Ling Zhao's words. Their dazed and despairing eyes shone with astonishing light. Their gazes landed on Ling Xiao at the same time. They were filled with judgment, reluctance, anger, and despair. Ling Zhao's gaze was calm and composed. In the end, all the trial takers revealed pleading and grateful gazes. There was a sliver of relief in their eyes. Boom! The 10,000 Spirits Bloodfiend tree suddenly began to tremble violently. Blazing flames surged on some of the trial takers at the same time, burning fiercely. That was the fire of life, releasing its final resplendent light. The trial takers were all powerful. They were the cream of the crop. At this moment, they frantically activated their fire of life, burning their origin spirits and flesh. They began to rapidly transform into a resplendent rain of light. Their Origin Dao fruits, on the other hand, shone with dazzling light. Taoist rhymes filled the air as they quickly reached perfection. Hum, hum, hum. The Origin Dao fruit trembled slightly. In the end, they intertwined with 9-colored light and became complete. Then, they broke free from the branches of the 10,000 Spirits Bloodfiend tree and flew towards Ling Xiao. The Origin Dao fruit were complete and flawless. They shone with 9-colored light like stars, enveloping Ling Xiao's entire body. This was the final gift from the trial takers. Ling Zhao's eyes surged with a sliver of emotion. He understood what the trial takers meant. The Origin Dao fruit was filled with their expectations. It was heavy and carried their hopes of revenge. Don't worry. I know what to do. Ling Xiao sighed softly. He did not stop the gift. He allowed the perfect Origin Dao fruit to fly towards him. He then opened his sea of consciousness. It shone with resplendent light and absorbed all the Origin Dao fruit. The consciousness within the Origin Dao fruit had completely dissipated and was easily refined by Ling Xiao. Among the thousands of trial takers, there were more than 100 Origin Dao fruits that had become perfect. Although a small portion of them overlapped with Ling Xiao's origin Dao fruit, Ling Xiao still took all of them. In the end, the number of origin Dao fruits in Ling Xiao's Sea of Consciousness increased by 72, reaching a shocking 180. 180 perfect origin Dao fruits surrounded Ling Xiao's indestructible primordial spirit like stars. They floated in the space of his Sea of Consciousness, intertwining with mysterious and resplendent light. Majestic origin energy surged within Ling Xiao's body, pushing his aura to rise continuously. His cultivation base also rose rapidly. Ling Xiao's cultivation base naturally broke through the fourth sky of the Imperial Lord Realm and reached the fifth sky of the Imperial Lord Realm. Fatty Blackie was incomparably excited when he sensed Ling Xiao's breakthrough. It seemed like his chances of killing young Kongzi had increased. Everyone take care. Young Kongzi will be with you very soon, Ling Xiao said slowly. A sharp light flashed in his eyes. Then sword qi rose from his palm. In an instant, more than 10,000 rays of sword qi soared into the sky. They pierced through the heads of the remaining trial takers at an extremely fast speed and killed them. The light in their eyes gradually dimmed, but they all showed a trace of relief. Chaotic light surged around Ling Xiao. Unparalleled divine power erupted. He punched out and suddenly struck the belly of the mountain. After his cultivation base had broken through, his strength had increased again. This punch was unparalleled and could destroy everything. The originally indestructible belly of the mountain was like tofu under his invincible fist. Crack! A crisp sound rang out. Runes were annihilated. The belly of the mountain was blasted apart by his punch. All the mountain rocks flew out. The Million Spirits Blood Demon Tree was completely revealed in front of everyone. Chapter 3202. Rumble. The floating mountain shook violently and exploded from the belly of the mountain. The floating mountain was split in half. Bloody light filled the air and demonic chi filled the sky, revealing the scene inside. What is that? Everyone on the floating mountain trembled. Their eyes were filled with disbelief as they stared at the Million Spirits Bloodfiend tree. At this moment, there were still hundreds of trial takers' corpses on the Million Spirits Bloodfiend tree. Above their heads was a dazzling origin Dao fruit. The scene in front of them shocked many of the guards. They had never seen such a scene before. They also didn't know that the belly of the floating mountain hid such a huge secret. At this moment, the boundary outside the floating mountain was incomparably dim. It was on the verge of collapse. While the guards were still in a daze, for terrifying beastly roars sounded. Then there was an incomparably terrifying collision. Rumble. The magic formation shook violently. In the end, the runes on the magic formation shone brightly to the extreme. Then it exploded with a loud bang. The boundary was shattered. The guards who were still fighting with the desolate beasts didn't even have time to react before the desolate beasts opened their bloody mouths and swallowed them whole. Scram! The remaining guard commanders roared furiously. Their eyes were filled with shock and anger. However, they were already at the end of their rope. They were in danger of being eaten by the desolate beasts at any time. How dare you! At this moment, a furious roar sounded. The void rippled like water, and an old man in a black robe with a sinister face and an unfathomable aura appeared. It was young Kongzi. Young Kongzi was trembling all over. His face was flushed red, and his eyes were filled with rage and killing intent. He had been in seclusion in Kuanpeng Imperial City. After receiving the news from the guard commanders, he only delayed for a moment before rushing over. After all, he had spent a lot of effort on the formation outside the floating mountain. Even a peerless imperial emperor wouldn't be able to break it in a short time. However, he didn't expect to see such a scene when he arrived at the floating mountain. Roar! 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 The four great prehistoric beasts roared wildly. When they saw the 10,000 spirits blood demon tree, their eyes turned completely red. They revealed an incomparably greedy expression, and immediately pounced on the 10,000 spirits blood demon tree. All of you die. The Million Spirits Bloodfiend tree is mine. Young Kongzi was completely enraged. He didn't know why such a scene would happen. Although he instinctively felt that something was wrong, the four desolate beasts had their eyes on the Million Spirits Bloodfiend tree. which made him completely nervous. Rumble. He slammed his palm down. His palm print was extremely ferocious, like an immemorial divine mountain. In the blink of an eye, it blocked in front of the 4 primitive beasts. Then Young Kongzi's figure flashed and appeared around the tree. A small black bell rose from his palm and began to expand in an instant, protecting the tree in the center. Was Young Kongzi. As long as the myriad spirit bloodfiend tree was fine, even if the hanging mountain was destroyed and all the guards were killed, he wouldn't feel any heartache. The million spirits bloodfiend tree was his foundation. Although he noticed that the million spirits bloodfiend tree had lost hundreds of trial takers' corpses, he didn't pay much attention to it. The 4 desolate beasts were charging at him. Rumble. The 4 desolate beasts had monstrous divine power. They broke Young Kongzi's palm in an instant and slammed into the huge black bell. Buzz. The huge black bell buzzed, making Young Kongzi's body tremble. His chi and blood were in turmoil, and his eyes were filled with a ghastly expression. Damn it! Why did the 4 overlords of the mountain sea marsh come to the floating mountain and attack the spirit array so crazily? Is someone behind this? Young Kongzi said, gnashing his teeth. He sensed a conspiracy. The 4 prehistoric giant beasts were infuriated. Their eyes were bloodshot as they stared at Young Kongzi with murderous intent. The million spirits bloodfiend tree was a supreme delicacy to them. They were especially excited about the thousands of origin Dao fruits on it. But now, Young Kongzi had taken the million spirits bloodfiend tree. They were enraged and regarded Young Kongzi as their greatest enemy. Boom. Each of the 4 desolate beasts was like a mountain. Their auras were terrifying. They locked onto Young Kongzi, making his hair stand on end. Damn it. If I find out who's behind this, I'll tear you to pieces. Young Kongzi roared furiously. Then, he leaped up in an attempt to leave this place. If he encountered one of the 4 desolate beasts in the mountain sea marsh, he wouldn't be afraid. However, if the 4 desolate beasts worked together, he would feel his scalp tingle. His top priority was to leave this place and move the million spirits bloodfiend tree to another place. No matter what, he couldn't let anything happen to the origin Dao fruits. Rumble. But how could the desolate beasts let him escape? The 4 desolate beasts emitted terrifying auras. They disrupted the void and prevented Young Kongzi from teleporting. Then they pounced on Young Kongzi. Blazing destructive divine light intertwined. Their powerful talents shrouded the area. The 4 desolate beasts were determined to keep Young Kongzi here. Although Young Kongzi roared, he couldn't get away. An incomparably fierce battle instantly unfolded in the sky above the floating mountain. Ling Xiao. Isn't this all thanks to my plan of driving the tiger to devour the wolf? If it weren't for me, how could you come up with the plan to lure the 4 desolate beasts to fight Young Kongzi? I hope they fight as fiercely as possible. It'd be best if they die together, Fatty Hay said to Ling Xiao with a smug smile. The 2 of them didn't leave. Fatty Hay used the space ability of the Kuanpeng and Ling Xiao's sky-shrouding secret technique. The 2 of them hid in a nearby lake and watched everything that happened on the floating mountain. Seeing the fierce battle between Young Kongzi and the 4 desolate beasts, they were finally relieved. They had achieved their goal. I'm afraid it's impossible for them to die together. But if Young Kongzi is severely injured, it'll be beneficial for us to kill him later. Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly as he said slowly. Hehe, I think Young Kongzi is doomed this time. Ling Xiao, you killed the candle dragon. If you kill Young Kongzi, I'm afraid you'll be famous on the Eternal Emperor's Road. By then, there won't be a place for you in any of the imperial cities. Fatty Xiao He said confidently. He rolled his eyes and his gaze landed on Ling Xiao. Then he grinned gloatingly at Ling Xiao's misfortune. Ling Xiao's forehead was instantly filled with black lines. Fatty He, you jinx. Maybe you're right. The Imperial City was already on high alert after he killed the Candle Dragon. If he killed Young Kongzi as well, none of the Imperial City's guardian envoys would tolerate him. Let's take it one step at a time, Ling Xiao said helplessly as he touched his nose. Chapter 3203. Rumble. On the floating mountain, the black crocodile, the golden swordfish, the dragon turtle and the nine-headed snake had completely surrounded Young Kongzi. The surrounding space was disrupted. Chaotic mist filled the air, divine light rose, and the origin energy intertwined, forming a terrifying domain of destruction. If the ordinary emperors dared to get close, they would die instantly. The million spirits blood demon tree on Young Kongzi was an irresistible temptation for the four great primitive beasts. How could they let Young Kongzi go so easily? Hand over the tree or die. The black crocodile roared. Its eyes were cold and emitted a dim light. The black scales on its body shone with a metallic light, and were extremely sharp. They covered the surrounding space and surrounded Young Kongzi. Those black scales formed a mysterious formation boundary. It not only had strong defensive power, but it could also release destructive saber light that constantly attacked Young Kongzi's vital parts. The golden swordfish was shining with golden light and sword chi rose. It gathered the most powerful sword origin. Together with the powerful sword principal talent super skill, it could unleash terrifying power. The dragon turtle was hibernating above the lake. It could control the surrounding lake and build a water boundary. Water pillars rose into the sky like white dragons, forming a huge prison. The nine-headed snake was even more ferocious. Its 9 heads respectively contained the power of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, ice, wind, thunder, and destruction. They constantly spat out beams of light that also contained deadly poison. The 4 prehistoric giant beasts had gone completely mad. They unleashed their most terrifying attacks. Although the primitive mutants were limited by the heavenly way and didn't have high intelligence, once they reached the level of primitive beasts, their intelligence was no less than that of ordinary people. The reason why they didn't speak usually was that they regarded everything as ants and prey. They didn't care to communicate. Young Kongzi was an old acquaintance of theirs. They usually got along well with each other, but today, a fierce battle broke out because of the million spirits blood demon tree. Damn it! You want the million spirits blood demon tree? Don't even think about it. Young Kongzi's face was extremely ugly as he roared. The giant black bell above his head emitted powerful sound waves that spread out in all directions, capable of shattering everything. The black bell also contained an extremely powerful devouring power, which blocked most of the attacks for Young Kongzi. His attacks were as fast as lightning. His palms were like immemorial divine mountains, constantly slapping the sky and colliding with the 4 primitive beasts. Destructive shockwaves erupted. The myriad spirit bloodfiend tree was his foundation. It was a supreme treasure that he had painstakingly obtained from the tomb of a great emperor. It was the foundation of his Tao, so how could he possibly hand it over? Even though he was surrounded by the 4 great desolate giant beasts, he was still fighting with his life on the line. Furthermore, he was looking for an opportunity to escape. The shockwaves from the great battle made Fatty Blackie's scalp go numb, and he secretly thanked his lucky stars. If he hadn't been smart enough, he wouldn't have been able to escape from Young Kongzi's clutches. Who is scheming against this old man? This old man will definitely grind your bones to dust and roast your soul with the 9 underworld's flames for billions of years. Only then will the hatred in my heart be appeased. Young Kongzi roared madly, his eyes filled with monstrous killing intent. He was now almost certain that someone was scheming against him. Otherwise, how could an outsider know that the myriad spirit bloodfiend tree was hidden in the belly of the mountain and protected by the array? Even the guards of the floating mountain didn't know about it. However, he couldn't figure out who was scheming against him no matter how hard he racked his brains. Rumble. The 4 great desolate giant beasts seemed to have gone mad as they kept attacking Young Kongzi. All kinds of killing moves were thrown at Young Kongzi. Young Kongzi almost instantly fell into a disadvantageous position. He could only passively defend, unable to launch an attack. With the black crocodile and dragon turtle's powerful confinement superpowers, it was extremely difficult for him to escape. Puff. The 9-headed snake seized the opportunity and shot a destructive light beam through the void, directly piercing Young Kongzi's chest. Young Kongzi coughed out blood as he retreated, his face turning pale. The golden swordfish's sword chi swept across the area. The golden light was dazzling, as if it could destroy everything. It also left many wounds on Young Kongzi's body. The black crocodile and dragon turtle were the most terrifying. These two great desolate giant beasts possessed unparalleled divine power. Their physical bodies were extremely tough and young Kongzi was no match for them. Young Kongzi had a huge black bell that looked like a powerful emperor weapon. It constantly released powerful emperor's aura to fend off the attacks of the two great desolate giant beasts. However, the powerful rebounding force still caused young Kongzi's body to tremble violently. Dense cracks even appeared on his body as if his physical body would shatter at any time. Beat this old man to death. That huge black bell is really a good thing. It must be the most precious treasure of my Kuan-Pung clan. It is like a pearl covered in dust in the hands of this old guy. Only when it is in my hands will it shine brightly. Fatty Xiaohei, who was a distance away, cursed as he stared at the huge black bell and drooled. The huge black bell looked simple and mysterious. It could release a powerful devouring force, and its sound waves could destroy everything. Its power was unparalleled. This supreme treasure was simply a divine weapon that Fatty Xiaohei had been dreaming of. Now, other than wanting to kill young Kongzi, he also wanted to snatch young Kongzi's weapon. Young Kongzi can't hold on any longer. Ling Zhao's eyes shone brightly as he said slowly, "Rumble." As soon as his voice fell, the four great desolate giant beasts launched their attacks at the same time. Blazing light beams swept across the void and shot towards young Kongzi. The destructive power destroyed the surrounding lakes and mountains and flattened the land within a radius of 10,000 miles. Young Kongzi coughed out blood continuously. He was severely injured and his eyes revealed a trace of madness. "Bastards, you're courting death. You want to snatch my million spirits blood demon tree? Go to hell." Young Kongzi roared furiously. Boom. His chi and blood surged, and the terrifying power shattered the surrounding void. His aura began to soar wildly, and he exuded an extremely dangerous aura fluctuation. Young Kongzi opened his mouth and spat out a light ball that was filled with blood and thunderbolts instantly. As soon as the light ball appeared, the surrounding void began to tremble violently. The chaotic light surged madly, and the light ball began to expand and emit extremely dangerous fluctuations. The eyes of the four great prehistoric beasts were filled with astonishment. It was as if they had sensed danger and wanted to scatter into the distance. However, it was too late. Whoosh! There was a pained look in young Kongzi's eyes. The ball of light in his hand flew out in an instant. In an instant, a domain of bloody light and lightning emerged, enveloping the four great primeval beasts in an instant. The top. Chapter 3204. That's a great emperor's heart? Fatty Xiaohei exclaimed in shock. His eyes were filled with horror. There was a heart within the ball of light that was intertwined with blood and lightning. Thump, thump, thump. The heart was still beating violently, spewing out a terrifying emperor's aura. Vaguely, there seemed to be a mysterious figure emerging. The figure exuded an invincible aura that swept across the heavens. It was terrifying to the extreme. Even though they were far away, Ling Xiao and Fatty Xiaohei felt their hearts palpitate. A great emperor's heart? Young Kongzi is so lucky. Where did he get the great emperor's heart? The four primitive giant beasts might not die, but young Kongzi is probably going to escape. Ling Xiao said slowly, a sharp glint in his eyes. He had not expected young Kongzi to have a great emperor's heart in his hands. A great emperor represented invincibility, peerlessness, and the power to suppress everything. As long as it was related to a great emperor, even the most ordinary things would become extraordinary. A great emperor's heart was enough to suppress the four primitive giant beasts. It might not be able to kill them, but it was enough to create an opportunity for young Kongzi to escape. Young Kongzi wants to escape? Ling Xiao, don't let him escape. You must kill this old man and take my giant bell back. Fatty Xiaohei said viciously. Ling Xiao rolled his eyes and said, fortunately, young Kongzi was forced to sacrifice the great emperor's heart. Otherwise, if he sacrificed it while we were chasing after him, it would be a big joke. Not to mention the giant bell. I'm afraid you would be hung on the myriad spirits bloodsucker tree. Fatty Xiaohei was stunned after hearing Ling Zhao's words. He also showed some lingering fear and said, you're right. Young Kongzi is too treacherous. But a great emperor's heart is a good thing. How could he sacrifice it? If he wasn't forced into a desperate situation, do you think he would sacrifice the great emperor's heart? He must be severely injured now. However, what makes me curious is why a mere guardian like him wants the myriad spirits bloodfiend tree to nurture so many perfect Dao fruits. Ling Zhao's eyes showed a trace of curiosity. Why? Of course it was because he was a robber. I've long guessed his identity. Killing him can be considered as upholding justice for the heavens. Fatty Xiaohe said proudly. On behalf of the heavens? Ling Xiao smiled faintly and looked at the sky with deep meaning. Rumble. At this moment, the heart of the emperor had exploded completely. Young Kongzi burned his own origin energy and poured it into the great emperor's heart. He detonated the great emperor's heart and enveloped the 4 great primeval beasts. For the 10,000 spirits blood demon tree, he was willing to give up the heart of a great emperor. This showed how important the 10,000 spirits blood demon tree was to him. Blazing divine light wreaked havoc, enveloping an area of 10,000 kilometers in an instant. A terrifying destructive force swept out like a storm, illuminating the region as if it was daytime. The furious roars and miserable howls of the 4 great prehistoric beasts came from the center. The auras of the 4 great prehistoric beasts weakened at a speed visible to the naked eye. Young Kongzi was very decisive. He didn't wait to see whether the 4 primitive beasts were dead or seriously injured. He instantly activated the black bell to protect himself and flew away. Let's go. Follow me. Ling Zhao's eyes shone brightly. Fatty Xiaohe nodded immediately. His eyes were filled with excitement. He used his void travel superpower and chased after Young Kongzi silently. Young Kongzi was escaping in the direction of Kuanpeng Imperial City. He was the guardian of Kuanpeng Imperial City. As long as he returned to Kuanpeng Imperial City, he would be able to heal himself with the help of the Heaven's Fate Chi. No one would be a match for him. Young Kongzi had already sensed a conspiracy. The conspiracy was getting closer and closer, causing him to feel increasingly uneasy. Damn it. No matter who it is, I won't let you off. Young Kongzi thought to himself as he gritted his teeth. Boom. However, at this moment the sky cracked open. An unparalleled fist print, wrapped in vast chaotic light, pressed down from the sky like an immemorial sacred mountain. That punch was peerlessly ferocious, and it contained a force that could destroy everything. It pressed down on the surrounding space to the point it exploded into pieces, and it contained an invincible aura. Coward who hides his head and shows his tail. Come out. Yin Kongzi's pupils shrank. Then he roared furiously. You're right. Yin Kongzi shouted furiously. He knew that the person who had plotted against him had finally made his move. Boom. He activated his black bell and charged forward. The black bell expanded in the void and emitted a powerful devouring force. It was like a black sea that could devour everything. Clang. When the fist landed on the black bell, the bell let out a thunderous buzz. Powerful sound waves swept out in all directions, turning a few lakes and a few mountains into dust. The black bell was knocked back by the fist. It buzzed and trembled. The powerful recoil caused Young Kongzi's body to shake violently. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his eyes were filled with shock and anger. 2 figures appeared in front of him. A black and white bird with yin and yang qi flowing around it flew across the sky. It looked like a big black fish, but it also had a pair of wings that reached the sky. It gave off an ancient and desolate aura. His eyes looked wretched and proud, especially when he stared at the black bell. His eyes were filled with passion. The other figure was dressed in white and his black hair fluttered in the wind. He was surrounded by chaotic aura and his eyes were bright and clear. It was as if 3,000 worlds were born in his eyes. They were Fatty He and Ling Xiao. It's you. Young Kongzi's body shook violently, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He immediately recognized Ling Xiao and Fatty He. Moreover, the 2 of them left a deep impression on him. Ling Xiao, the chosen one of this era, attracted the attention of all the guardians as soon as he entered Emperor Road of Eternity. He even killed the Candle Dragon in the Candle Dragon Imperial City, and shocked Emperor Road of Eternity. Even Young Kongzi was afraid of him, and did not want him to enter Kuanpeng Imperial City. Fatty He was a pure-blooded divine beast Kuanpeng. After Yang Kongzi discovered him, he coveted Yang Kongzi's bloodline and origin Dao fruit. However, before Yang Kongzi could do anything, Fatty He had escaped from Kunpeng Imperial City. Why were the two of them together? Did that mean that the two bastards were the ones who discovered the million spirits blood-sucking demon tree and caused him to fight with the four ancient beasts? Yang Kongzi was furious when he thought of this. He hated Ling Xiao and Fatty He so much that he wanted to tear them into pieces. Chapter 3205. Young Kongzi, I didn't expect this to happen to you. If you know what's good for you, you'd better kneel down and kowtow to me 3 times. Then give me your black bell with both hands. Maybe I'll be merciful and leave you a complete corpse. What do you think? Fatty Xiaohe grinned, his eyes filled with pride. Black bell? Do you want me to send you off? Young Kongzi's eyes were cold as he sneered. Most of his attention was on Ling Xiao, who had a calm expression on his face. Fatty Xiaohe was naturally not worth mentioning. Even if he was severely injured, it would be easy for him to kill Fatty Xiaohe. However, Ling Xiao was different. Although Ling Xiao looked like a 5th heaven imperial lord, he had killed the candle dragon. Moreover, the overbearing and terrifying chaotic fist print made young Kongzi feel as if he was facing an untainted behemoth, which made him extremely fearful. This was a great enemy. Send you off? Send you my ass. Young Kongzi, you're about to die, and you still dare to be arrogant? Do you know my brother? My brother specializes in killing the guardian. You're dead today. Fatty Xiaohe's face darkened as he glared at young Kongzi. Ling Zhao's forehead was filled with black lines. Who did Fatty Xiaohe learn from? He was becoming more and more shameless. Specialized in killing the guardian? If this name was spread, he would probably become the enemy of the entire world on the Eternal Emperor Road. Specialized in killing the guardian? Ling Xiao, are you sure you want to be my enemy? Young Kongzi was so angry that he laughed and stared coldly at Ling Xiao. You're a guardian, but you used your position for personal gain and killed the innocent. You used the flesh and blood of many trial takers to nourish the myriad spirit bloodfiend tree and refine the origin Dao fruit. Therefore you deserve to die. Ling Xiao said calmly. You know about the myriad spirit bloodfiend tree too? Looks like I can't let you live today. Young Kongzi's eyes were filled with killing intent as he exuded an extremely terrifying aura. Although young Kongzi was severely injured, his aura was still extremely terrifying. Fatty Xiaohe couldn't help but tremble. Rumble. The huge black bell in young Kongzi's hand instantly shone brightly and wrapped him up. Then he shot into the distance like a black lightning bolt. He actually fled. Is this old thing so shameless? Fatty Blackie was also stunned. Just a moment ago he had been prepared to face Yin Kongzi's attack. Unexpectedly, Yin Kongzi had fled. He's smart. He knows that the most important thing right now is to heal himself, not to fight with us. Ling Xiao smiled faintly as if he was not worried at all. Quick, chase after him. If we don't chase after him, this old thing will really run back to Kunpeng Imperial City. Fatty Xiaohe urged. His eyes were filled with anxiety. Don't worry, he won't be able to escape. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Rumble. As soon as he finished speaking, young Kongzi, who had already fled 10,000 kilometers away, let out an earth-shattering roar. Scorching divine light rose up around him, and the black bell buzzed as if it was going to shatter at any moment. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Strands of sword chi shot into the sky. They were extremely sharp as they lined up around young Kongzi. They formed an extremely powerful sword formation, trapping young Kongzi in the center. A ray of light flickered under Ling Zhao's feet. He immediately teleported and caught up with young Kongzi. Buzz. The heaven-devouring sword pierced through the rift. It was ancient and mysterious, emitting a brilliant glow. Below the heaven-devouring sword, there were 4 illusionary swords in 4 different directions. They were like 4 heavenly pillars, emitting a sharp sword intent that felt like it could shatter everything. Young Kongzi was trapped in the sword formation. He was unable to escape. After the heaven-devouring sword merged with the 4 great immortal swords, not only did it possess the sharpness of the 4 great immortal swords, but it was also able to set up a heaven-devouring sword formation to unleash a peerless killing force. Ling Xiao had already set up a sword formation on Yang Kongzi's way to Kunpeng Imperial City. He was just waiting for Yang Kongzi to take the bait. As he had expected, Yang Kongzi still managed to enter the sword formation. Ling Xiao, do you really think that I am the same as the Candle Dragon? If you want to kill me, let's see if you have the ability to do so. Yang Kongzi was so angry that he laughed. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Rumble. Blazing blood light rose around him. The black bell suddenly emitted a terrifying sound wave. Then it began to expand. It protected Yang Kongzi in the middle and slammed into the sword formation. Sword chi swept out in all directions. Rays of sword chi were annihilated one after another, but they quickly reappeared, stacking on top of each other in an endless manner. Don't waste your energy. If you were not injured, you might have a chance to escape, but now you should die. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His eyes were filled with sharpness. Boom. He threw a punch across the sky and landed on the black bell. The black bell buzzed and the void around it shook violently. An unparalleled force was transmitted into Yang Kongzi's body. His body shook violently and he coughed out blood. Rumble. Ling Xiao's aura rose. His fist intent was vast. He threw out one punch after another. It was vast and boundless like a huge wave. The unparalleled fist intent completely enveloped Yang Kongzi. At the same time, the sky-devouring sword shone with unparalleled sharpness. Sword chi rose and constantly attacked Yang Kongzi's vital points. The black bell was a powerful apex monarch weapon. It had strong defensive power and could block most of the damage for Yang Kongzi. This was also the reason why he could withstand the attacks of the four great desolation beasts for so long. However, Ling Xiao had the primordial immortal body. His fist intent was powerful and his chaotic fist prints were unparalleled. He could go against an emperor weapon. Thousands of heavy fist waves came and Yang Kongzi felt that he was no match for Ling Xiao. Damn it! How can he be so strong? Yang Kongzi's face was ghastly pale, and his eyes were filled with shock. He could not imagine how Ling Xiao, who was a fifth heaven imperial emperor, could unleash such terrifying combat strength. The powerful force made Yang Kongzi tremble violently. His injuries worsened rapidly, and he could not hold on for long. The sky-devouring sword's sharpness contained a powerful destructive force. Ling Xiao used the sword origin to activate it, and Yang Kongzi felt threatened. He had no doubt that he would be in a worse situation if he left the protection of the black bell. Damn it! Why aren't they here yet? Yang Kongzi was extremely anxious. In fact, when he was fighting with the four ancient beasts and realized that there was a conspiracy, he had decisively asked for help. However, for some reason, the reinforcements had yet to arrive. If this continued, he was afraid that he would be in danger. Chapter 3206. Rumble. Ling Xiao punched out again. The black bell rang, and the space around it was distorted. Yin Kongzi coughed out blood, and was sent flying. Clang clang clang. The sky-devouring sword swept across the void, and the sword chi was extremely sharp. It kept slashing at the black bell, causing it to vibrate violently. Ling Xiao, break this old man's tortoise shell. I suspect that this old man is putting up a desperate struggle. He might have reinforcements. Hurry up and kill him. Fatty Xiaohei shouted from the side. Reinforcements. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with light. It was not impossible. Yang Kongzi was the guardian of Kunpeng Imperial City. It would be troublesome if the guards of Kunpeng Imperial City, or some powerful trial takers came to Yang Kongzi's aid. Rumble. Chaotic light rose from Ling Xiao's body and purple chi spread out for 30,000 miles. He had activated the primordial immortal body to the extreme. He punched out with both fists and it was as if the sun, moon, and stars were revolving around them. 3,000 worlds appeared in the chaos, as if they were going to pierce through the river of time, and create an epoch. At the same time, they contained boundless vitality, and were nurturing the creation of the heavens. Epic Fist. Creation Fist. Ling Xiao's primordial immortal body had merged with the great Tao origin energy. He had comprehended these two supreme fist techniques, and they were unleashed at the same time. What? Yang Kongzi's pupils suddenly shrank, and his eyes were filled with horror. These two supreme fist techniques made him feel extremely oppressed. It was as if he was facing a peerless great emperor. He felt that he could not fight back. He frantically activated the origin energy in his body and poured it into the black bell. The black bell shone with boundless light in the void. At the same time, it evolved into a vast vortex that engulfed the heavens and the earth. It was as vast as the starry sky. Block it! Young Kongzi spat out blood and roared in his heart. He could feel that the reinforcements were about to arrive. He had to hold on. Once the reinforcements arrived, Ling Xiao would definitely die. A monstrous killing intent surged in his heart. A person like Ling Xiao shouldn't exist on the Eternal Emperor Road. He was the greatest enemy of all guardian envoys, and he must die. Rumble. A world-shaking boom rang out. It was as if the entire world had sunk into the ultimate. The devouring territory created by the Black Bell was instantly destroyed as Ling Xiao's fists landed on the Black Bell. The Black Bell blossomed with a dazzling light, and the runes were annihilated one after another. With a loud rumble, it was directly sent flying. Not good. Both of young Kongzi's arms exploded, and his body was covered in blood. His body was on the verge of collapsing. His expression was extremely ugly. The moment the Black Bell was blasted away, his expression changed drastically. He saw the sky-devouring sword falling from the sky, and the unparalleled sword chi instantly engulfed him. Slash! Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and an extremely dark and ancient aura erupted from his body. It was as if hell was about to descend upon the world, emitting ancient, primordial, vast and eternal waves. Amidst the ancient aura, a blade light cut across the world, breaking through the limits of time and space, breaking through the boundary between reality and illusion. It seemed a little distorted, but it was incomparably real. Even young Kongzi's eyes that were filled with fear were reflected in the saber light. Not good. It's the forbidden blade. Young Kongzi roared in his heart, but he could no longer shout. His entire body was engulfed by the blade light. Crack. Young Kongzi felt as if something in his body had been broken, and a strong sense of fear arose from the depths of his heart. To him, Ling Xiao was like the heavens and earth, and he himself was like an ant. That feeling of insignificance and fear caused him to be unable to summon any battle intent in the depths of his heart, leaving only endless fear. His Taoist heart was broken. The infinite hell blade had broken his Taoist heart. Although it did not directly kill him, he no longer dared to be Ling Xiao's enemy. How dare you, demon? How dare you harm the guardian? Why don't you surrender now? At this moment, a cold voice resounded in the void. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Many figures with powerful auras flew across the sky and instantly arrived in front of Ling Xiao and young Kongzi. At the same time, they locked onto Ling Xiao. There were a total of 10 figures, and all of them were high-level imperial emperors. 9 of them were wearing black armor. Their faces were cold, and they were surrounded by a murderous aura. They were extremely powerful, and all of them were the guards of Kuanpeng Imperial City. The one in the lead was a young man in white. He was handsome, elegant, and extraordinarily heroic. He held a folding fan in his hand, and he had a natural and unrestrained temperament. The voice just now came from his mouth. Although his cultivation was only at the 8th heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm, he emitted an extremely terrifying aura that was not weaker than young Kongzi's. A trial taker with the combat strength of a peerless Imperial Emperor? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. When his gaze met the white-clothed young man's, sparks instantly burst out in the void. He felt a trace of time aura that did not exist in this world from the white-clothed young man. He was actually an ancient prodigy, an 8th heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm with the combat strength of a peerless Imperial Emperor. An ancient prodigy. Was this young Kongzi's reinforcements and reliance? Although Ling Xiao's thoughts were changing, he did not show any mercy. He only glanced at the white-clothed young man before he continued to attack young Kongzi. Whoosh! The sky-devouring sword was unparalleled. It contained a sharpness that could pierce through everything. It flew across the sky and pierced towards young Kongzi's forehead. Flower-pinching young master, save me. After seeing the white-clothed young man, young Kongzi's eyes were filled with incomparable surprise. He did not dare to continue fighting with Ling Xiao. He immediately wanted to fly towards the young man. "How dare you?" The young man's face darkened. A powerful aura gushed out from his body. He pointed his finger at Ling Xiao. His finger was dazzling, eternal and immortal. He looked very carefree. That finger was sparkling and translucent like a piece of glass. It looked simple, but it arrived first and collided with the heaven-swallowing sword in an instant. Clang! The sword chi swept out like a storm. It wanted to shatter the young man's finger, but it was suppressed by a powerful burst of light. In the end, the sky-devouring sword trembled slightly. The sword chi was annihilated. When the finger landed on the sky-devouring sword, it was directly sent flying. Young Kongzi took the opportunity to fly towards the young man. His face was filled with the joy of surviving a calamity. "Lord Guardian, be careful." The young man's face suddenly changed. He saw a golden light flash past young Kongzi's body. However, it was too late for him to save him. It was a small golden snake. It silently appeared on young Kongzi's body, and then viciously bit young Kongzi's injured arm. Two rays of light, one black and one gold, seemed to be very intelligent and entered young Kongzi's body. Boom! Young Kongzi's body trembled violently. His entire body was instantly enveloped by a black poisonous fog. His eyes were filled with incomparable horror. This is the origin of poison." Young Kongzi's voice trembled, containing a trace of unconcealable fear. Chapter 3207. Not only did young Kongzi have Little Gold's poison origin, but he also had Heaven's Burial poison. This was the true killing move that Ling Xiao had prepared for young Kongzi. The moment Flower Pinching Prince and the others appeared, he knew that if he continued to attack he would be stopped by them. Therefore, the sky-devouring sword was only a feint. Little Gold was the true killing move. In order to kill young Kongzi, Little Gold not only released the poison origin, but also fused the Heaven's Burial poison into young Kongzi's body. Originally, with young Kongzi's cultivation, it wouldn't be so easy for Little Gold to bite him. He would even sense it before Little Gold appeared. However, young Kongzi's current state was very similar to the Candle Dragon's state. In fact, he was even more miserable. His Dao heart had been shattered by Ling Xiao, and he had lost all will to fight. He only wanted to escape. In addition, young Kongzi's body was bloody and covered in wounds. It wasn't surprising that Little Gold's sneak attack succeeded. "Well done." Ling Xiao patted Little Gold's head and smiled. Little Gold's eyes were filled with pride. He was becoming more and more human. After Ling Xiao gave the Heaven's Burial poison, and the origin energy in the Heaven's Burial Ant Queen's body for Little Gold to devour and refine, Little Gold's cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. He was now a mid-level Imperial Emperor. Even a high-level Imperial Emperor would be killed by Little Gold if he was caught off guard. "Take me back to the Imperial City. I want to go back to the Imperial City." Young Kongzi roared angrily. His eyes were filled with extreme fear. The poison origin and Heaven's Burial poison intertwined, forming an extremely terrifying force. It corroded young Kongzi's flesh and origin spirit at an extremely fast speed. He had no way to resist at all. Even young Kongzi's origin spirit was covered in a layer of death chi. His entire body was shrouded in a black poisonous fog. Black poisonous flames surged out of him. The guard commanders of Kuanpeng Imperial City didn't dare to get close to young Kongzi at all. They all retreated with fear in their eyes. If they were infected by such a powerful poison origin, it would be extremely troublesome. They wouldn't be able to remove it at all. Young Kongzi was dead meat. "Flower Pinching Prince, save me." Empyrean Master's eyes were filled with despair. In the end, he looked at Flower Pinching Prince with pleading eyes. "Lord Guardian, I can't save you either. But don't worry, I'll help you kill Ling Xiao and avenge you." Flower Pinching Prince sighed. "Ling Xiao, Ling Xiao, Ling Xiao. Even if I become a ghost, I won't let you go. I curse you to die a horrible death and never be reincarnated. I can't accept this. I can't accept this." Young Kongzi abruptly turned his head to look at Ling Xiao. His eyes were filled with killing intent and hatred, and his voice was incomparably shrill. However, before he could even finish speaking, his entire body was enveloped by poisonous flames. Soon after, his body collapsed, his life force scattering, his entire body exploding with a loud bang. A mysterious power rose from Young Kongzi's body, and then dissipated between heaven and earth. What a pity! A look of pity appeared in Ling Xiao's eyes. Young Kongzi was dead, but his heavenly providence and origin Dao fruit had completely dissipated. They returned to heaven and earth and returned to the heavenly Dao. If it weren't for flower-pinching Prince, perhaps Ling Xiao could still attempt to refine the heavenly providence and obtain Young Kongzi's Dao fruit. However, with flower-pinching Prince around, Ling Xiao knew that he wouldn't be allowed to refine the heavenly providence. Flower-pinching Prince had the same idea, so he didn't do anything. He allowed the heavenly providence in Young Kongzi's body to return to heaven and earth, and his entire body disappeared without a trace. As for Young Kongzi's curse, no one cared at all. To the strong, it was nothing more than an illusion for the weak. Whoosh! Fatty Xiaohei flew back stealthily from afar, holding a small black bell with both hands. He was beaming with joy and looked very pleased with himself. Hee Ling Xiao, this heaven-devouring bell is mine. Young Kongzi is really lucky to have obtained the inheritance of an emperor. Now the heaven-devouring bell and the emperor's inheritance are mine. I'll leave these people to you. Kill them all and we'll forcefully take over Kunping Imperial City. Fatty Xiaohei chuckled at Ling Xiao. This guy was very cunning. When Ling Xiao sent the heaven-devouring bell flying, he had already followed him. Now that Young Kongzi was killed, the heaven-devouring bell naturally became an ownerless object and fell into his hands. Like Young Kongzi, he cultivated the devouring Great Dao, so it was very easy for him to refine the heaven-devouring bell. After obtaining the heaven-devouring bell, Fatty Xiaohei was so excited that he was about to go crazy. As a pure-blooded Kunpeng, he had led such a miserable life. Now he finally had an extreme Dao Emperor weapon that belonged to him. However, his excitement didn't last long before someone poured a bucket of cold water on him. The heaven-devouring bell is the guardian's weapon. It can't fall into the hands of a rascal. Go and retrieve the heaven-devouring bell. Ling Xiao, leave it to me. Flower-pinching Prince said indifferently. Yes. The 9 guard commanders seemed to be extremely respectful towards the flower-pinching Prince. They all bowed respectfully. Then, their gazes were incomparably cold and filled with overflowing killing intent as they landed on the little black fatty. Fatty Xiaohei's body stiffened, and the smile on his face froze. Ling Xiao, let's leave this place first. Fatty Xiaohei immediately hid behind Ling Xiao, and said to Ling Xiao with a lack of confidence. Flower-pinching Prince, Young Kongzi killed many trial takers and deserves to die. Do you really want to stand up for him? Ling Xiao ignored Fatty Xiaohei and looked at Flower-pinching Prince and said calmly, killed many trial takers? What evidence do you have? What I saw was that you killed the guardian. Flower-pinching Prince said indifferently. Ling Xiao glanced at Fatty Xiaohei. Although Fatty Xiaohei was unwilling, he still took out the heaven-devouring bell and flicked it gently. Immediately, brilliant light rippled out like water, and the scene within the heaven-devouring bell appeared. Within the heaven-devouring bell, the 10,000 spirits blood demon tree appeared, and the corpses of trial takers hung on its branches. This scene caused the expressions of the 9 great guard commanders to change drastically. It was obvious that they didn't know about the 10,000 spirits blood demon tree. This is the 10,000 spirits blood demon tree, a primordial variant of the primordial times. It's incomparably evil and can devour the flesh, blood, and primordial spirits of living beings to nurture a perfect origin Dao fruit. This is the crime committed by Young Kongzi. Does Flower-pinching Prince not think he deserves to die? Ling Xiao looked at Flower-pinching Prince and said indifferently. Flower-pinching Prince frowned slightly, his eyes incomparably deep. Ling Xiao, the guardian is already dead. This is all your side of the story. Who knows if you were the one who put the 10,000 spirits blood demon tree into the heaven-devouring bell? Flower-pinching Prince, don't slander me. Don't tell me you don't know anything about what Young Kongzi did. Maybe you're his accomplice. Fatty Xiaohei poked his head out from behind Ling Xiao and sneered. Chapter 3208. Kunpeng Imperial City's guardian, Yin Kongzi, had died. The moment Yin Kongzi died, Kuanping Imperial City reacted. The entire Kuanping Imperial City shook violently. The enchantment shattered, chaotic fog surged, and blood rained down from the sky. Kuanping Imperial City began to fall into chaos. What's going on? This is... Lord Guardian has fallen. Someone's body shook violently. His eyes were filled with fear. The enchantment shattered and blood rained down from the sky. This was a phenomenon that would only happen when a guardian died. Guardian Yun Kongzi was a veteran guardian. He was extremely powerful. How could he have died? Who killed him? Everyone's hearts were filled with doubt. When the enchantment of Kuanping Imperial City shattered, those who had yet to participate in the trial were overjoyed. They all left Kuanping Imperial City and headed to the next Imperial City. There were also some with evil intentions. They burned, killed, and looted Kuanping Imperial City. Some even had their eyes on the Heaven Dao seal. However, they were quickly suppressed mercilessly. Over 100 guards rushed out from the Guardian Envoy's residence and killed those who tried to charge into the residence. Moreover, a guard commander spread a piece of news that shocked and caused everyone to boil with excitement. Guardian Yun Kongzi was murdered by Ling Xiao in the Great Swamp of the Mountain Sea. Before he died, the Guardian sent back a message. Ling Xiao is a robber. Anyone who can kill Ling Xiao will obtain the Guardian's Heaven Dao seal and all of his treasures. This is Ling Xiao's location. Everyone, please head to the Great Swamp of the Mountain Sea to kill the robber. The guard commander's voice was extremely cold. However, it was clearly heard by everyone in Kuanping Imperial City. He waved his hand. Immediately, a bright light bloomed. A map of the Great Swamp of the Mountain Sea appeared and showed Ling Xiao's location. What? Lord Guardian was actually killed by Ling Xiao? This news instantly caused an uproar in Kuanping Imperial City. Everyone was shocked. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Not long ago, Yun Kongzi had appeared outside Kuanping Imperial City and stopped Ling Xiao from entering the city. How long had it been? Yun Kongzi had died at Ling Xiao's hands? Ling Xiao is actually a robber? No wonder he's so cruel and brutal. That's right. The guardian of Candle Dragon Imperial City had already died in Ling Xiao's hands. Was it Kuanping Imperial City's turn now? This bastard deserves to die 1,000 times over. Everyone, let's go together and kill Ling Xiao to avenge Lord Guardian. Are you not afraid of death? That Ling Xiao's ferocious might surged to the heavens, and he killed 2 guardians in succession. With just the likes of you, are you a match for him? What are you afraid of? No matter how strong Ling Xiao is, can he be stronger than so many of us combined? Everyone, attack together. Even if he has 3 heads and 6 arms, he will still die. That's right. If we kill Ling Xiao, we'll be able to obtain the Heavenly Dao seal and Lord Guardian's treasures. Let's go together. Let's go together. After seeing Ling Xiao's position, everyone instantly became excited. Their eyes were filled with eagerness. The Guardian's residence opened the teleportation formation to the Great Swamp of Mountains and Seas for them. They entered the teleportation formation and headed towards Ling Xiao's position. Of course, there were some who were extremely clear-headed and did not lose their minds to greed. They chose to leave Kuanping Imperial City. However, the majority of those who headed towards the Great Swamp of Mountains and Seas chose to pursue Ling Xiao. Brother Ling Xiao killed Yun Kongzi? This is too powerful. In a courtyard, Tong Tong, Ba Dao, Ji Feishuan, and the others gathered together. After hearing the news, they were extremely shocked. Initially, they were still thinking of ways to sneak Ling Xiao into Kuanping Imperial City. However, they did not expect to receive such news. Tong Tong's eyes widened in disbelief. Although I don't know why Big Brother killed Yun Kongzi must have a reason for his death. Ba Dao said coldly. No matter what the reason is, I'm afraid Ling Xiao will become the enemy of the entire world on Eternal Emperor Road. Ji Feishuan sighed softly as a worried look appeared in her eyes. Then what should we do? So many people are heading towards the Great Swamp of Mountains and Seas to pursue Ling Xiao. Your Majesty, we should also help Ling Xiao, right? Fairy Jinghong said worriedly. We definitely have to help, but there are so many of us. We're too big of a target. Jinghong, protect Tong Tong and stay in Kuanping Imperial City. Ba Dao and I will head to the great swamp of mountains and seas and think of a way to help Ling Xiao. Ji Feishuan pondered for a moment and made a decision. All right. Ba Dao nodded and said. Among the group, Ji Feishuan and he had the highest cultivation. Ji Feishuan was a peerless imperial emperor, while Ba Dao was a high-level imperial emperor. He cultivated the forbidden saber and had the combat strength of a peerless imperial emperor. With the two peerless imperial emperors helping, they would definitely be able to rescue Ling Xiao. In the great swamp of mountains and seas, Ling Xiao was facing off against the flower-pinching prince. However, what puzzled Ling Xiao was that the flower-pinching prince did not choose to attack immediately. Instead, he was extremely calm and casual. Ling Xiao, why don't you return to Kuanping Imperial City with me? I'll definitely find out the truth and clear your name. However, before that, I can't let you go. You're also very suspicious. The flower-pinching prince looked at Ling Xiao calmly and said, Forgive me for not being able to comply. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Although the flower-pinching prince in front of him looked magnanimous and had an extraordinary temperament, Ling Xiao could feel a deep hostility from him. Although the hostility was very faint and ordinary people would not be able to detect it, it was extremely clear to Ling Xiao, who was extremely skilled in the path of the Tao of the heart. If he returned to Kuanping Imperial City, Ling Xiao would probably be surrounded and attacked by everyone. Pretty boy, don't pretend to be a big shot here. Who do you think you are to say that you'll clear our name? Hurry up and get lost. Otherwise, if my big brother gets angry, all of you will die. Fatty Xiaohei stuck his head out and sneered. Impudent. The flower-pinching prince is the successor of the Lord Guardian. He's the next Lord Guardian. How dare you be disrespectful to him? If you know what's good for you, hurry up and surrender. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. A guard commander snorted coldly. His eyes were incomparably cold, and a murderous aura emanated from them. Ling Xiao, if you're not willing to return to Kuanping Imperial City with me, then I have no choice but to suspect you. Perhaps you're the robber. The flower-pinching prince's eyes flashed sharply as he looked at Ling Xiao indifferently. The fox's tail is finally showing? Looks like you've been wanting to slander me for a long time, right? However, it doesn't matter. If I want to leave, who can stop me? Ling Xiao smiled indifferently. His eyes were filled with disdain. Chapter 3209. He had overestimated the flower-pinching prince. The so-called ancient prodigy still did not have the aura to suppress everything. He was still scheming and scheming. He would never have any hope of attaining the Tao in his lifetime. To a true expert, no matter what schemes you had, I would break them with a single punch. You want to leave? You haven't confessed your crimes. If you leave just like that, how can I face the Guardian? The flower-pinching prince smiled faintly when he saw that Ling Xiao wanted to leave. Buzz. With a wave of his sleeve, the void trembled slightly. Resplendent rays of light bloomed in the surroundings. Flowers bloomed one after another in the void. The flowers covered the void for thousands of miles. They emitted an alluring fragrance, turning the place into a sea of flowers. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He leaped into the air and punched out at the same time. His fist radiance was unparalleled. The petals in the void were shattered by him. However, they quickly reappeared and sealed the surrounding void. Ling Xiao's fist seemed to have landed in the air. It could not cause any damage to the formation. Ling Xiao, this is the 10,000 flowers return to origin formation. The stronger you are, the stronger the formation will be. You can't escape. The flower-pinching prince smiled faintly. He was a scheming person. When he arrived, he had quietly set up a formation to seal the surrounding void. Each petal was formed from origin energy. It reflected a powerful force like a mirror that could absorb and reflect the power of an attack. Ling Xiao's power blasted on the formation. After being converted by the petals, the 10,000 flowers returned to origin formed an endless supply of energy for the formation. This was why the flower-pinching prince said that the stronger Ling Xiao was, the stronger the formation would be. This formation was indeed very troublesome. It would not be easy for Ling Xiao to break out of it. The 10,000 flowers returned to origin formation? If I'm not wrong, you've trapped me in this formation to wait for the trial takers from Kunping Imperial City to arrive, right? Ling Xiao stood in the midst of the flowers and said indifferently, "Smart. But smart people usually don't live long." The flower-pinching prince smiled faintly. He opened the fan in his hand and gently waved it. Primal chaos seemed to rise, and a mysterious scene of mountains and rivers appeared. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he activated the eye of the ruler. Mysterious scenes seemed to appear in his eyes. Brilliant beams of light shot out, capable of piercing through all illusions. Ling Xiao activated his sovereign's eye, hoping to break through the myriad flowers' convergence array as quickly as possible. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, the void vibrated as numerous figures with powerful auras soared through the air, appearing in the mountain sea swamp in the blink of an eye. The participants of the Kunping Imperial City had arrived. When the cultivators saw Ling Xiao trapped in the 10,000 flower origin convergence array, a cold glint flashed in their eyes as killing intent filled the air. Flower-pinching prince sure is scheming. Ling Xiao looked deeply at the flower-pinching prince. As he had expected, the flower-plucking prince was not in a hurry to attack, because he had other plans. He had actually mobilized the trial takers of Kunping Imperial City to attack Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, what do you have to say now that things have come to this? You killed the guardian and refined the origin spirit of the trial takers into your origin Dao fruit. Your crimes are unforgivable. Why don't you surrender? The flower-pinching prince's eyes flashed sharply as he spoke loudly to Ling Xiao. His face was full of righteousness, and his aura was extraordinary. It was easy to trust him at first glance. Everyone's expression changed when they heard the flower-pinching prince's words. Refine the origin spirit of the trial takers into his origin Dao fruit? Flower-pinching prince, what's going on? Someone asked in bewilderment. You don't know yet, do you? Weren't you curious as to why so many trial takers died, or went missing in the previous trials? The mastermind behind all of this is Ling Xiao. He has an incomparably evil myriad spirits bloodfiend tree that can devour the origin spirit of any living being to refine a perfect origin Dao fruit. The myriad spirits bloodfiend tree is in his hands right now. It was precisely because Lord Guardian Yang Kongzi had discovered his scheme that he had been silenced by him. He's the robber, and by killing him today, will be enforcing justice on behalf of the heavens. The flower-pinching prince's clear voice traveled into everyone's ears. What? Everyone was stunned. They hadn't expected to hear such a huge secret. Soon they were enraged. Using a trial taker's flesh, blood, and primordial spirit to refine an origin source Dao fruit was simply touching their reverse scale, causing them to instantly develop monstrous killing intent. Damn it! I didn't expect Ling Xiao to be the main culprit. We must kill him today. He must be the one behind my brother's disappearance. Ling Xiao, you'll pay for my brother's life. Everyone was filled with righteous indignation, their bodies surging with murderous intent. More and more trial takers gathered from all directions, quickly reaching several thousand. These thousands of trial challengers were all extremely powerful. At this moment, their killing intent was as vast as the sea, and they were all pressing down on Ling Tian. It was extremely horrifying. Fatty Blackie was completely flabbergasted. He'd never imagined that there would be someone more shameless than him in this world. Someone who could twist the truth. The flower-pinching prince was simply ruthless, turning his head and pinning the blame on him and Ling Xiao. Fatty Blackie trembled with anger, his eyes filled with fury. He pointed at the flower-pinching prince and roared, "Pretty boy, can you be any more shameless?" Young Kongzi used the myriad spirits bloodfiend tree to capture so many trial takers to refine his origin Dao fruit. What does that have to do with us? I think you're in cahoots with young Kongzi. You're the robber. Ling Xiao's expression was calm. He looked deeply at the flower-pinching prince and said, "Flower-pinching prince, your ability to twist the truth is admirable. However, how do you explain this? I've only just arrived at Kunping Imperial City today. How could I have captured so many trial takers to refine my origin Dao fruit during the previous trials?" The trial takers were slightly taken aback, then looked at the flower-pinching prince, waiting for him to explain. After all, Ling Xiao had only just arrived at Kuanping Imperial City today. Many people had seen it with their own eyes. Outside Kuanping Imperial City, he'd even had a conflict with young Kongzi. The flower-pinching prince smiled faintly and said, Ling Xiao, isn't it easy to explain? You didn't just arrive at Kuanping Imperial City today. You have ulterior motives. After killing the guardian of Candle Dragon Imperial City, you came here and hid in the Mountain Sea Swamp, waiting for an opportunity to harm the trial takers. Everyone, you should know that the trial takers in Candle Dragon Imperial City have already spread the news that Ling Xiao is the robber. The flower-pinching prince's words seemed to strengthen the trial takers' confidence, causing them to look at Ling Xiao with even more hostility. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.